Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome to the Simply Complicated podcast, where we take the absolute simplest of things and make them far more complicated than they ever need to be. I'm Sam, aka Primalliquid, and of course joining me are Alan and James. But that's not all. We have a special guest this week. Ryan, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ryan, aka RBHD. For any kind of YouTubers out there, that's my YouTube. And I'm joining in with you guys' podcast today, and we're going to go through some topics. It's going to be really fun. Looking forward to it.
Well, welcome. So, let's just jump straight into it, I think. Obviously, one thing we do around here is we like embarrassing each other. And since you're the new guy, I have a question for you.
No good.
Oh, here we go.
Would you rather sleep with a dead body or a family member, and why? He's actually speechless over it.
No, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm about to say. What if it's a dead family member? Can I pick that?
I mean,
what, the best of both worlds?
If you want to, like, sure, like, if you want to.
I always came for both answers, major. No, if I have to, I don't know, dead body or family member. How long's the body been dead for?
That was my question as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, it don't matter. Like, it's just dead.
It's just dead.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say fresh dead, hit by a car, boom, done. Yeah.
Hit by a car?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so you've got a car going like 80 miles an hour. It hits somebody. They're going to be pretty mushy at that.
Flexible.
I love the fact that that's what sold him on the dead body. Fresh, hit by a car, boom, let's have it.
Yeah. Flexible until legs behind the head, boom.
Oh my god. That's probably...
If you've been hit by a car, their legs are probably already behind their head.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm not going to lie, that's the best answer we've had so far. Right, so segue. Well, perfect segue. Let's talk about the PS5, because speaking of car accidents...
God.
We've had the official announcement now. We know when it's coming out. We know the price. It's £349 for the digital-only version and £449 for the disc version. So some countries are getting it on the 12th of November. The rest of the world is not getting it until the 19th of November, which I think is a pretty... dicky move, to be fair.
It's a pretty dick move.
It's
Have
like...
they given us any reasons as to why?
No. There's
Yeah,
no
not
reason at all.
why.
It's
So
like...
I did look into this a bit. I'm not too sure if it was this happened with the PS4 or PS3 or anything like that. But what I found out is it's something to do with the languages spoken in certain regions and the certain kind of barriers that they have to get across instead of just going to like in the UK, speaking a normal language. There's certain kind of language barriers that they have to get across. But I could be wrong. Well,
I was going to say, because...
unique work, apparently, that needs to take place.
The countries it's releasing in on the 12th is America, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Japan, and I think Korea?
South Korea,
Yeah.
I think Japan was always going to be on that list.
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's Sony's home base, isn't it? So...
But I don't get why UK went in on that.
That's what I mean. It's like, how many consoles would sell in the UK?
Maybe that's the issue, is that they're worried we're going to sell out way too quick. They need a bit more time to
I don't know, because I still think America's going to outsell the UK. But I still think we would probably outsell places like Mexico and Korea. Like
the only thing I found out about it, and I quote, some countries require unique work due to multiple languages spoken in those regions. But I don't know, I don't understand how that would... Why is is United States on there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's going to be down to logistics, personally. Like, maybe they can't get the bulk over to the UK because of shipping restrictions. Like, I don't know what impact COVID has had on shipping. Maybe there's not as many shipments allowed or something like that. Like, I don't know. But yeah, we're pretty much in the screwed boat of we have to wait at least a week before we can get it. And of course,
to be honest with you, I don't really mind waiting. I know it pisses you off a bit, and you, James, I think, but I'm honestly all good with it, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I
but
mean, it does give us the opportunity to see how it is before we purchase it.
Yeah.
although
Does the same apply for the Xbox as well, or is this just purely Sony?
this is purely Sony.
Yeah, purely PlayStation.
See, then that asks.
See, I think that's where they.
Why the Xbox doesn't do the same thing then? I don't know. There's certain logistics in there they have to get past. But it depends if you wanted first day. If you, I understand if you're a bit frustrated because if you want it when as soon as it comes out, not only for your own personal use, for content purposes as well, and you find out other countries are getting it first, it then leaves you a bit behind. So
Yeah.
I get that.
For a next-gen release, though, this definitely has not gone smooth.
No, not
it's
even
been a hot mess.
remotely. But it's like, I mean, we all know the Xbox is releasing worldwide same day. So, Ryan, you just touched on the content creation side of things. Obviously, that does play a part in it. But I think, as well as that, it also comes down to, like, just the simple question of why. Like, if they couldn't, say they couldn't get to the UK in time for the 12th release date, why not release it everywhere on the
same
19th?
day.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously, they're trying to get in competition with the Xbox, because that's releasing on the 10th. But
That's what I was going to say. You don't want to leave it 9 days.
yeah, like,
before you
they're,
release it anyway.
they're
That's too-
really risking their business in the UK and other countries that aren't getting it on the 12th. Because, I mean, that's 9 days that other people can be like, you know what, I want this next-gen console, PS5's not out, so I'm just going to go shell out for
I'm
an
not
Xbox.
waiting. I'm going to get an Xbox, yeah. And then they're going to leave themselves playing catch-up.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Although, one thing I've got to say, Al, you mentioned that you don't really mind about the delay, didn't you?
Yeah,
Now-
because only because, from my perspective, I'm not going to be getting it this year regardless.
That's what
I'm
I was
going to
say.
wait a year anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, because you're not, like, you were never actually planning on getting it day one. So,
No.
I wonder if there are any other people that were planning a day one purchase
There would
that
be.
are irritated, like me, for example, or if there were people who wanted to get it day one but don't really care about the difference in release date.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few people who don't really care that have that are planning to get it day one, but they know they're going to get it regardless.
Yeah.
So I think they'll probably brush it to one side as a minor misstep.
I think the majority will do that. I don't think anyone's going to switch to the Xbox just because they have to wait a couple of days.
Yeah, I don't
No.
think. Well, I don't think many would switch to the Xbox, but I think there might be a couple that want to like just really jump on the next gen wagon straight away.
I think there'll be a couple that don't want to wait and definitely get the next gen console just like that, and that will be the Xbox.
Yeah. Although
But I
to
don't
be
think that'll
fair,
stop them from buying the PS5. I just think they're just going to buy it later.
yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Like when the price has gone down a little, maybe in like New Year sales, or well,
Black
maybe a
Friday.
year down the line when Sony inevitably announced the Pro version.
Yeah.
So.
So
Well-
what are your thoughts on the prices with it all then?
I honestly don't mind. It's like, for the level of hardware inside both the Xbox and the PlayStation, 450 quid's pretty damn good, to be fair.
For me, I wouldn't even say I don't mind it. I would say that's spot on. I think any cheaper, it would have been too cheap. I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm buying what I'm buying if I get it cheaper.
It's like,
See, for me, I'm
worth the money.
tempted to go for the digital this time just to save 100 quid. Because it's all the same specs and everything. It's
Well,
just tasteless.
I mean,
you know
keep in
what?
mind, though, you do lock yourself into digital downloads.
I know.
Which
It's going to be
means-
give and take, but
Well,
That's-
keep in
yeah.
mind, the PlayStation Store's a lot more expensive, so you would end up paying more in the PS5's life cycle.
but then again though as well, if I'm not getting one till next year, like the
price will be
main
lower
PlayStation 5 will probably come down because the Pro will be coming out maybe.
I mean, even if there isn't a Pro announced, like, the price would come down. Like,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
next year.
From a digital point of view, you'll be saving a lot more money not going digital because the amount of games you'll be buying at an inflation to
The price of the games in the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the
no,
same for the Xbox Store. They are way too
Even if the
inflated.
store is the same price as the physical copies, physical copies go on sale a lot more and a lot cheaper than the actual digital ones.
Plus, you can sell your physical copies when you're done with them.
Secondhand, yeah.
Because I know
Yeah.
you've sold a lot of games over the years.
But this is what does my head in, though, because the reason that the disc version is so much more than the discless is because they're just taking advantage of the fact that people do want discs, the physical.
No.
Because I can almost guarantee that this will be the last gen with a disc tray that takes discs.
I don't agree with that for a few reasons, and that's the Blu-ray drive. Now, the Blu-ray drives are expensive. I mean, obviously, it's Sony's own invention, so it's not really that much for them. But in general, a Blu-ray drive is expensive, and this is a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray reader. So it's not like it's the same. It's not like it's the same disk drive as the PS4. It's an even higher model of it.
No, but what I mean is people like having collections of games and stuff that they've built up over the years, don't they? So to me, that just seems like they're taking advantage of that and sticking a price tag on it. And all right, then people want that, we're going to charge them more for that.
No, I think it's just a case of, like, you pay less for the less hardware. You know, it's like you're not getting the disk drive, so you pay less. It's like you want the disk drive, you just pay more. Because
it's just their way of reeling in people that can't afford the big one.
Yeah, pretty much. But at least Sony have done the right thing, in my opinion. They at least made the digital version the same spec as the main version.
Which I mean, I can't be the only one that will be thinking of the Xbox digital version in comparison.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Ryan, you're mainly Xbox, aren't you? Like, you prefer the Xbox to PlayStation.
I could argue against that. I don't do console wars anymore.
No, but I just mean like on a general play base. Like if you had to choose between getting a game on the Xbox or a PlayStation, I imagine you would more than likely go Xbox out of habit, right?
I'm not even out of habit anymore, probably because of friends. Just because we've got friends on Xbox, like we've got a PlayStation 4 and their exclusives are like on another level.
Yeah.
And I'll buy the exclusives on PS4. Anything else I buy on the Xbox purely because I speak to people on Xbox and because I play on Xbox. But yeah, and in terms of like 9 times out of 10 I'll buy a game on Xbox. But in terms of exclusive games, I've got a PlayStation 4 for the best exclusive games.
Okay.
That's the thing now. Like, oh, go
on. No, I was just going to say, so which Xbox would you get? Would you shell out 200 more for the disc version, or would you go for the 200 less version, which is not only discless but also much lower spec'd than the normal one?
Yeah, so I think it's probably a little bit on par with the Xbox X, the Series S, is it?
Yeah.
I think in terms of specs, it's about that level, but it's still lower than the Series X specs.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't.
Well, the Series S is literally just a tiny bit better than current gen consoles. Like, it's not actually that much of an improvement.
But that will also be why the price is so low, at 250 quid.
But then you think if you want to go to the next gen, get them next gen.
Yeah, you want that next step to be a big one, don't you? You don't want to step up by that much and then...
Here's the problem, though. On Xbox, because of the Series S, they will have to develop games that can run on the Series S. So even if you get the X, you're not going to have a next gen jump, because they will not be able to make games that will only run on the X and not the S.
I think they'll still be able to run on both of them. I think if they didn't think of that area, they would be in a really big trouble.
What I mean is, like, when you look at next gen, you always think, okay, it's going to be better graphics than current gen, the games are going to be bigger, they're going to be better, better looking, all that sort of stuff. Now, obviously, you are going to still have... I think the S still has ray tracing and that. But what I'm saying is, like, with the S being basically on par with current-gen consoles, will the next-gen games even really be any different? Because it's like, with them being made for the S, they won't really be able to take it to the true next-gen levels, because it still has to run well on the S.
They'd be very small... very unnoticeable kind of changes, probably, I would say. To answer your question, I would go with the Series X. I didn't even... It's like when they released a discless Xbox One. No, not a chance. I've seen the prices on the Xbox store. Not a chance. I mainly rent games nowadays, so discs is still kind of quite common for me. So very rarely I'd buy a game digitally unless it's really cheap. It's on a deal. And
That's what I mean. It's like companies are trying to push the digital side, aren't they? Like Sony and Microsoft are both trying to push digital, but there's just like that. With the price,
there's no real
there's no benefit. There's no benefit, should I say?
Not for us, but there is for them because when it's digital,
they make more money,
all the profit. Whereas shops otherwise, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like if they want to push people to the digital side, they've got to give the consumer a benefit. But the digital downloads are more expensive.
We could compare how well sales do on digital consoles as well. How well did Xbox do on their digital console? Sales wise,
no idea.
They did alright, but they weren't as much as the actual...
So I was thinking you'd probably be able to get an idea on whether people actually want it that way or not.
Yeah, I mean they've obviously done well if they're still sticking with the game plan and releasing these.
Yeah,
and the fact that Sony's done it as well. So
yeah, I think digital would probably be more of a benefit for like a family style consoles. You know, like maybe for kids. Maybe you don't really trust them completely with like discs. You know, maybe they might break the discs, putting them in, taking them out. So a digital only would make sense in that regard for little kids. You know, like maybe they want to play 5 different games, but you don't really want to let them maybe ruin like a 60-70 quid disc.
Yeah.
So I can understand it in that regard, but other than that, that's the only benefit to digital only to me.
Well, as well as if you want a game now, you don't need to go down to the shop. You can just buy it there and then, but everyone can do that.
At home.
So there's nothing stopping you.
It is really convenient, but like you said, you can do that now with a disc version. I mean, you can still just download digital games. I don't know why they're trying to push a digital-only console.
I'd like to see the figures of how many people were buying digital games for them to come up with the idea of a digital console. Because there must have been some high figures for them to think of it as a good idea.
I think there are high figures of digital purchases.
I would like to see the comparisons of disc sales versus digital downloads.
See, now I think because of all of the second-hand disc purchases, it's not going to be a good number. I think in reality, a lot more people do buy discs, but when you look at the actual numbers, it probably doesn't show that.
Yeah, I mean...
People rent, people buy second-hand, that stuff isn't counted. That one game's been sold 10 times.
I mean, speaking of numbers here, has anyone here actually managed to pre-order?
I've not bothered.
No.
Nope.
I didn't try, to be fair.
So, obviously, when Sony announced the release date and the price and all that, they basically said, we're going to allow pre-orders from tomorrow. But they didn't really specify a time or anything like that. But there was a big problem of a specific American retailer, not naming names, that basically said, fuck you, Sony, and they opened the pre-orders up instantly as the console was announced. So that essentially led to other stores also opening pre-orders, which has essentially caused a major clusterfuck on pre-orders.
The thing is, that company is quite well known for doing that. And what they did is, I can see why they did it. It's not like you're going to do what they did and Sony's going to say, right, you can't sell our console. They need them to sell the console.
True.
They've got no backfire on it at the end of the day, so why not? And it means that everyone's going to come to them first. It helps.
Yeah, it's publicity.
It's like they're going to sell out on all of their consoles instantly, pretty much.
Yeah. The only issue with what they did is it's messed up everyone from being able to actually get a pre-order.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, I don't know of any places in the UK that started pre-ordering early. To be fair, though, I wasn't really keeping track because of the time of night it was. But
I think we started at the same time. I think it was they started pre-ordering, so we started at the same time because I never saw any announcement for it.
Well, I know I checked Shop 2, and I checked Game just before I went off. Neither of those had opened their pre-orders. Went bed, woke up, and both were already sold out. Like, literally, I cannot find anywhere in the UK that actually is still taking pre-orders. Like, this was the day after it was announced, and I could not find anywhere. So this is turning out to be a bit of a clusterfuck for
It's
Sony's
all a
launch.
hot mess.
So have you not pre-ordered yours then?
No, I've not been able to pre-order.
Were you even interested in pre-ordering,
Me?
Sam?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I wanted it day one. I genuinely wanted it day one. Whereas,
The
like,
only
no
thing
ma-
we've got to fall back on it is that Sony have said that they're going to be releasing more. Don't worry, there's
Yeah,
still
they have.
loads
Yeah.
more that we're going to be selling. But how many?
That's
Yeah,
the
because
thing.
prior
Are we
to
gonna
this,
get the
they
same
already
issue again?
announced. Prior to this, they already announced that there were going to be limited amount of consoles, and now they've said that they're going to be more. So how much is more?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to say that they're doing more console release. They're trying to have more consoles ready than they had for the PS4 launch. Now,
Right.
I can't really remember what the PS4 launch was like. But I think, like, just remembering, I don't think it had that many problems. Like, I think the launch of the PS4 was actually okay.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth if I remember correctly.
Because it's like, I know I had no real issue pre-ordering, but obviously pre-orders for the PS4 were open, like, 6 to 8 months in advance, like, before the console, and I pre-ordered pretty much instantly when it was available to do so. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously back then I had more time to do it. But I can't think of any messes where, like, people weren't getting consoles and that. I mean, obviously, people might not have had it day one because of delivery mess-ups or something like that.
No, because I was working in a store at the time, wasn't I? So I was working at Toys R Us in the multimedia section, and obviously we sold the console. Sony were on top of it. If we pre-ordered, say, 200 consoles, they sent us 400.
Yeah.
They
Just
were
to make sure you
on
had
top
the
of
stock.
it that year. Yeah. Whereas PS5, it feels like it's going to be the exact opposite.
Yeah,
What a shortage!
Yeah, I don't think people are going to get their pre-orders.
well, I mean, given the...
You've also got, because of my experience, I can tell you, they'll come into store, and the people that work at the store will take that console and say, yeah, it never arrived, just because they want to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, with places like
That's
Walmart...
so sneaky as well.
I mean, it always happens, though, isn't it? It's like,
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it because I would, but
Yeah. But no, it's like, I suppose one of the problems is, with Walmart opening pre-orders already, they don't know how many consoles they're going to get. So it's like, if they take 10,000 pre-orders, but say they only end up getting 8,000 consoles in the end, that's 2,000 people that are going to get pissed off.
They would have been briefed as to how many consoles they'll be expecting.
Already, you think? Like, before it was announced?
If Sony were prepared to start taking pre-orders the next day, they would have been told about a week before how many consoles they should be expecting.
Right.
And then
Okay.
to allocate it to their stores and so on, it's up to them, but yeah.
Do you
Right.
think Sony will take any action towards them for releasing early?
No.
No.
Oh,
Probably
even
not.
though they probably would have had some kind of agreement in place.
I mean,
What can you do is Walmart.
given that Walmart actually made the announcement and started taking pre-orders, I generally don't think there was an agreement in place. If there was, Walmart's legal team would have been all over it. Like, the legal team would never have allowed the PR team to actually make that announcement on Twitter and that.
so you don't think there would have been a breach of agreement anywhere?
No. If there was an agreement in place, there's no way in hell they would have posted. Like, there's no
I think there
way
would
they
have been
would have.
some sort of agreement.
Because the thing
I
is,
don't know.
it's going to have a ripple effect now. So everywhere else is going to start releasing it early just to get on the sales. So I'm just wondering, like, if Sony will
Yeah, he's got a point actually.
And it's given
If-
Sony
if-
a bad name.
Yeah.
If they get away
has.
with it, with no repercussions, then more places are going to do the exact same thing.
It depends, because not so many places are
Big enough.
so valuable as
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah.
So Bob down the road can do it, but they'll just shut Bob down. Right, you're not getting any of our products. Walmart does it. You can't.
Walmart
do that.
is. Yeah.
I wonder if
It's
they
big.
might limit Walmart's second batch of consoles.
Again, I don't think so. They know that people will go straight to Walmart to buy it. If
Yeah,
you
but I
can
mean,
sell it, then that's what matters.
there's still going to be a lot of other places in America to get the console from. Let's be real here.
GameStop, if you want a broken
Yeah,
one.
it's like you. I mean, like Alan said, GameStop, Amazon, small mum and pop stores.
Talking about Amazon, have you seen that they've said that their pre-orders will probably turn up late?
Yes. Have you seen
Jesus.
how Amazon also might not get enough units to fulfill all pre-orders?
That I expected, because
Yeah, it's like Amazon.
way Amazon
Amazon
works.
don't limit pre-orders.
yeah, and you've got 100 people trying to pre-order at the same time. I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard
it's like
for
Amazon will straight up put you in a queue. Like, first come, first served. Once all the first shipments of units are gone, then everyone else has to wait for more shipments to come in.
Yeah, but what worries me is how can they already know it's going to turn up late? We're so far ahead of when it's going to be released. What makes them think it's going to turn up late?
You've also got to think of the pandemic as well, and the logistics that's the lane.
I mean, to be fair, Amazon's pretty much back on track now with most of their logistics. Like, I know during the height of the pandemic, like, there was like a week or two delay on orders, whereas now if I order something right now, I'll probably have it here by 9 o'clock in the morning. Like,
You can still do the 2-hour delivery. I still do it.
I won't. Mine will get
If
lost
I can
and
get
I'll
it
have
here
to
in 2
request a
hours, why
refund.
can I not get a PS5 on time?
I mean, you can get it in 2 hours. That doesn't mean much for the rest of us. Like, we don't all live 10 minutes away from the depot.
I'm not getting anything off Amazon, apparently. It's getting lost in post.
I mean, I assume you've
That's
refunded
unlucky,
that.
one.
Yeah, I got the refund.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, the 2-hour delivery is just Amazon Prime.
I can't get 2-hour delivery.
I live 5 minutes down the road from an Amazon depot and I haven't even got a 2-hour.
Yeah.
Like,
In fact,
I might as well just walk there and pick it up.
Here's the
We
thing.
get that next day for Prime, don't we?
No, you need to use the Prime app.
No, we
What, does
still
it say?
can't gate. We still can't gate. I've checked.
Oh, fair enough.
But no, it's like, me and Alan actually live closer to the Amazon depot than Ryan. Because it's actually just down by Britannia Stadium.
Brilliant. Next time I make an order, I'm just going to drop in and pick it up myself.
I mean, it would be easier, to be fair, but I don't think they allow walk-ins, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we live that close to the depot, but we still can't actually get the 2-hour delivery.
Well, I think that's really disappointing to all of the people that have pre-ordered from Amazon. If they are going to turn up late, if I was one of those people, I'd be kicking off.
I mean, let's be honest.
I can't help but be a little, like, smug about this because I'm not bothering with it till next year, so I ain't got these issues.
I mean, with a company as large as Amazon, how many people do you think have actually pre-ordered from them?
I reckon
A lot.
A lot,
Yeah,
And the worst part about it, though, is you've just pre-ordered an next-gen console. You're expecting it to come on the date that it's due to be delivered, that you're expecting, and then they tell you that there could be delays, and then you can't cancel that because everywhere else is sold out. You can't pre-order. And that's going to leave a lot of customers really pissed off.
It says there's a lot of slaps in a lot of people's faces at the moment.
Well, did you know Amazon weren't even limiting the amount people could buy?
I don't think anywhere was.
Some places were. Some places were. Like Shop 2, for example, they are limiting to 1 per household. But no, like, people are posting images around where they're ordering 10, 15, 20 consoles from Amazon at a time.
Yeah, there's a guy that posted on Twitter, he bought 14.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, and then look at eBay and you've got consoles listed for $7,000. It's like, really?
But you do have
I don't understand that strategy at all.
It's just scalpers. It's just scalpers. Buy it cheap, sell it high because of the demand.
Yeah, but who's going to go and pay $7,000 for a console that they know they can get for 450 quid?
There are people.
Yeah, I mean, there are people. $7,000's a bit of a stretch. Like, he's gonna have to get a little bit lucky to sell at $7,000. But $1-2,000, I bet they sell instantly. Bet you, any money. That's what I mean. It's like it all comes down to demand more than anything.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like Final Fantasy VII Remake when that came out. I mean, obviously that launch was screwed by all hell of the pandemic. Like, places were getting it weeks early. Like, in the end, because obviously I had the content creation side of things for it, I had to get on top of it sort of ASAP. So I ended up paying 200 quid for my copy. And I had to drive about 2 hours away to collect it.
So you're one of those people.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pay
money to these guys, and that's why they keep doing it.
See,
I'm not going to pay $7,000 for the console, though.
I'm just going to go out and pay $7,000 for a PlayStation 5.
Dude, if I could afford $7,000 for a PS5, I don't think I would care about the difference in release. Like, if I could pay $7,000 for the console, how much would I pay for it?
Yeah.
I mean, that depends. Would I get on the 19th or would I get on the 12th?
Let's assume the 19th.
If it was the 19th, then I'm staying at $450.
Let's say you could get it on the 13th.
I would probably pay about $650 for that. If there was a good enough release game.
To be fair, though, the postage and package from America would cost you that.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, people paying $7,000, for example. Like, just get a plane ticket, go to America, buy one for $499, fly back home. You get it a week earlier, and you save yourself about $6,000. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's assuming they're in stock, as opposed to not just.
Yeah, otherwise,
I mean,
that'll be a waste of a flight unless they're already on holiday.
If there is more units being developed, as Sony say, though, like, they're trying to double the amount of PS4 units from what I've seen, they're more than likely going to be okay come launch. I don't think there's going to be that many problems on actual launch day. Like, I think pre-orders are still going to be a bit iffy until about a week beforehand. But then come launch day, I reckon you could probably walk into any big-name store and probably pick one up. If you can't at that one, maybe a different one. But I reckon, come launch day, I reckon everything will be okay with them.
What is everyone's thoughts on the size of the PlayStation 5?
Too big.
Because it is reported to be the biggest gaming console.
Yeah, the ironic thing is, when we saw sight of the Xbox Series X, everyone was taking the piss about the size and how it looks like a fridge and stuff like that. And then it turns out, the PlayStation 5 is probably bigger?
Taller, yeah.
Yeah, it's I can't remember what is it. I've got it here. So
It's
inside,
about 40 or 50 centimetres, I think. Like, it's about half a metre.
No, I
In
think it's taller
length,
than that.
not height.
so it is 15.4 inches tall and 10.24 inches deep and 4.09 inches wide.
I don't know inches. Does anyone know that in centimetres?
Well, 15.
Well, 15 inches is about a foot and a bit.
Yeah.
So, basically a bit more than a Subway.
In height, I think he said. And then there's
Yeah.
going to be
No,
about 10 inches
it won't
in
be-
depth.
4 inches
Hang on a minute.
wide. Well, probably.
I assume you're on about standing up and not lying flat.
Oh, it'll be
Doesn't
stood
matter
up.
how you're
Yeah.
having it.
15.4 inches tall. Is yeah.
Stood up.
Yeah, so it's a
And
bit
then
more-
about 10 inches in depth going back.
Yeah.
I don't care about it being that big. Here's the thing. It's like, when you look at the next-gen hardware, aside from the fact that itself is going to be sort of bigger than last-gen, you're going to need better cooling for it. And in
You
order
will.
to accommodate that better cooling, you're going to need better airflow, which means bigger chassis.
It doesn't bother me, but I feel like I have to say it's too big because I was one of those fools that took the piss out of the Xbox size.
The Xbox design, I'll be honest, when I first saw the Xbox design, I was like, that looks fucking shit. And then I thought about how compact it is, and I can just sit it next to a monitor, and then I was like, actually, it's not that bad.
The
Like,
size of it,
I'll
I don't
save
think it's
too
too
much
bad.
space. Yeah, in terms of size, I'll save so much space.
But the look of it is terrible.
Yeah, look.
It's just a black box.
I don't care about
going-
the look.
Going off what James just said, though, too many consoles have been that design for too long now. Just a black box.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, when you look at consoles now, they are essentially mini PCs. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
on both on a hardware level and on a functional level, they are essentially entry-level mini PCs. So,
Yeah, but look at all your decent
Exactly.
PCs, though. It's not just all one black box. They've got some colours in there and stuff to jazz it up a little
I mean,
bit. So
to be
I don't know why it's any different for a console.
To be fair, I did say low-end PCs. Low end, you aren't going to get any of the colourful stuff or anything like
No,
that. You
yeah.
are going to get the bare bones basics.
In other words, you're saying a BTEC PC.
Not a B-Tech, more just the entry level, you know.
I mean, compared to those, some PCs being as high-end as possible, consoles are pretty low compared.
I mean,
to
if you're talking high-end, then yeah, a console is terrible compared to a PC. And it's
that
always
black-
going to be that way.
That black box behind you on top of that PC looks like an Xbox X.
It does. It does. It looks like an Xbox
That's
line
what it
down.
looks like.
It looks like a Series X line down.
So you want to know the funny thing? That's actually my power supply box for my power supply on my PC. And it's
Okay, so
actually
the
not,
Series-
It's going to look like it's
so-
just
so
big
this-
land.
not as
the
big as you
Series-
might think.
So the Series X is a power brick.
It's better than a fridge.
I
Although
kind
the
of,
PlayStation looks like a router, so
you know, one thing I hope we don't actually have the internal power bricks in these consoles, because that's what generates a lot of the heat in consoles. I kind of hope we go back to like the Xbox 360 days
I
where we
don't
have
think
the
they'll go
external power brick.
bricks outside. I don't like the external power bricks. I've never
mean-
had any problems before. Well, since they switched it, anyway.
I'm just thinking it's going to help keep the console at a lower temperature, because with the newer hardware, like, it's going to get a lot hotter. And when you look at what look at the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
That is a goddamn inferno. Now, imagine something with higher clocks on the CPU, a higher clock on the GPU, and an NVMe drive instead of a normal HDD. That's going to be a lot more heat inside the compartment. Obviously, the console itself is bigger, and I would assume the fans are going to be bigger to match.
I would say, though, if the PS4 Pro was the first release, then it wouldn't have been so bad. But I think because they sort of tried to rush that one, I don't think they did such a good design on it. They just added another level to it.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
the PS5, they've looked into it as to how they can cool it.
I mean, to be fair...
don't you think that they've rushed this next gen, though, as well?
I mean, we can say rushed, but they've probably been working on it for 6 years.
I don't think they've rushed next gen. I think they've sort of rushed and butchered the release of next gen. I think what initially screwed them is the COVID panic. I think they panicked over that, and that's why their plans all went through the window. Like, obviously, they cancelled their own events, which is where they would have originally announced the consoles. So originally the consoles would have been announced in, I think the original events were scheduled for like March or April or something like that. Like, they were scheduled pretty early on in the year. So for each of their own events, that would have been where they announced the consoles. But because of COVID, they had to cancel those events. Instead of doing them live, they just completely cancelled them, like a live stream, I mean. Fast forward 6 months, they still have to do the live stream, but now there's only a month until release, basically. So I think they shot themselves in the foot there, which could honestly have been a much easier solution to just have the live stream way earlier on in the year. I think that would have
been a lot easier
for
for them. It'd have been a lot easier for them if they waited another year for release.
I don't think a year.
You need them both to do that. You can't let Xbox do it and you not. And so on.
No. Obviously, once Xbox have dropped the date, you can't just back out for a year. But
do you think Sony were hoping for the Xbox to do that?
Yeah, they were both waiting for each other, weren't they?
And then
they were waiting for each other. PlayStation would be waiting for the low price Xbox to drop, so they can drop their digital at more money but same specs as the main console.
I mean, to be fair, I still don't think Sony gives a crap about Xbox's Series S. Like, the only thing they care about is the X. That's the only thing.
Well, that's supposed to be the big daddy, isn't it? So
they were looking to do one of those themselves, Sony, but they looked into the numbers, and because obviously when they did it with the Slims and stuff back in the day, they didn't sell as well as the normal console. So they said, nah, there's no point in wasting time with that. Just have the normal and the digital.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which I think makes sense.
So, speaking of Microsoft, did you guys see the shot they made at Sony over the whole pre-order fiasco?
Dun dun dun.
So,
you can't blame them. I would do it.
It is pretty funny, to be fair, but it's also a bit of it's one of those like really moments, you know, like let me read it out for you guys. So, pre-order September 22nd. This is what Microsoft tweeted about the Xbox Series X and S, guys. So worldwide launch in 36 countries, November 10. Obviously, shitting on Sony's not worldwide launch.
Limited countries for the early date,
Yeah, because fuck you, Sony. Hype over 9,000 because they felt the need to put a Dragon Ball reference. Like, that's pointless if you ask me. And then, don't worry, we'll let you know the exact time pre-orders start for you soon. AKA, don't worry, we're not as incompetent as Sony.
But remember, Sony said the same thing. We're not going to surprise you with the pre-orders. You're going to be told plenty of time in advance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
But technically, whilst they're taking the P, they're actually doing the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Sony said that, and then they turned around and said, pre-orders are going to open tomorrow. But they didn't give a time, and then everyone sort of broke the release anyway for the pre-orders.
So do you think this is Xbox trying to keep a console war alive?
It's just a bit of banter,
Yeah, like, it's not...
Go on.
I wouldn't say it's console war. I would say it's more like they're trying to put themselves on top of Sony's announcement, sort of thing. They're turning Sony's fuck up into something that gives them publicity.
It's a marketing strategy.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Like
Remember, the
that.
banter between the two companies always helps them sell their consoles.
I'd have
Yeah.
to say, mate, the best banter I've seen is when the Xbox One was released and it was going to be digital-only console, and then PlayStation.
Yeah, like PlayStation were just like, here's discs, and everyone was just fucking in uproar.
Yeah, like you can share it with your friends, and mate, although like I wasn't a PlayStation fan back then, or
I mean,
mainly Xbox, I can't. For me.
Let's be honest, Xbox butchered the Xbox One release.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they butchered
Did they have
that.
online only as well or something?
They were talking about it at first, and then they saw everyone's reaction, and Sony ripped them over it.
Yeah.
So in the end, Microsoft were like, "We're not going to do this anymore. Like, please forgive us."
I feel like if Sony didn't butcher them before it, they would have released it.
Yeah, they totally would have gone for it. But the thing is, it's like Xbox got cocky on the Xbox One, and they went first by releasing all the information, and that gave Sony a week to basically turn around and go, yeah, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to do this instead because we know everybody wants that.
Yeah.
And
that's probably played some part in why the announcements and stuff like that have been so late for the next gen.
Oh, yeah.
Xbox haven't dropped early because of the last flop.
Yeah, Microsoft would not want to risk it a second time. Because, I mean, let's be honest. The PS4 crushed Xbox in sales on release. Like, no competition. The PS4 dominated the Xbox.
Yeah.
I think we all saw that coming after the tragic show they performed when they were showcasing.
I mean, the Xbox One was marketed as a home entertainment system instead of a gaming console. Like,
at least they finally got rid of that.
Yeah, they did finally get rid of that.
That isn't working.
Yeah.
That games console.
Xbox have shot themselves in the foot more times than I can count. The Kinect. God knows what they were thinking about the Kinect. I was never a fan. It lasted probably about a year and then it died off.
I look at the Kinect as the same as the PlayStation Eye.
The thing
PlayStation
is,
Move.
what they could have done, Brad, was keep the Kinect the same way that Sony kept the PlayStation Eye and then just introduce VR games to it.
I get that. The PlayStation had the PlayStation Eye and that. But Xbox presented this as like innovation-changing technology. They hyped it up so high that when it was released, it was all over the place. It was...
Yeah.
Remember that E3 conference where everything was...
I was just about to say, like, we were talking about this on another podcast, weren't we?
Yeah.
The Minecraft augmented reality.
Yeah,
now,
that never got released.
Yeah, like, the Kinect could have worked with something like that to track the movement.
You'll find out the majority of the games they showcased at the Kinect presentation event didn't get released. There was a game where you could see this child... I didn't know the story about it, but it was kind of in early stage of development. Never got released. Because they couldn't really... sort it out in ways that he presented to the fans.
Yeah.
But, it absolutely flopped. But yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
I was just going to say before we move on. I was just going to say they should have kept the Kinect, in my opinion. And even though it flopped, work on it and make it what PlayStation turned the PlayStation Eye into. Like, they kept the PlayStation Eye relevant with VR games. Kinect could have done the same thing, and it could have been really good.
The other guy's wrong. Hospitals use Kinect nowadays for
like FaceTiming and stuff.
No. For actual procedures they have to do in hospitals, they basically obviously modded it to fit in certain areas. So it has gone a long way in terms of technology, and how certain workplaces have changed it. But for what it was set out to do, it
failed miserably.
Yeah, it failed miserably. I had one, unfortunately. Don't know why.
But yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Sam.
No, it's alright. I mean, it's actually good that we're talking about failures, because another more than likely failure.
It's all about failures this week.
It's a fun day, this one, isn't it?
It is, yeah, actually.
Has anyone done anything right?
Yeah, we'll get to that later, though. So, failure number 4 or 5, I don't know, I've lost track at this point. PS Plus collection. Yay or nay?
Yay. Especially if it's going to be with the PS Plus.
So
not an extra fee.
I sort of think it's actually a nay.
Before you explain your nay, can I explain why it's a yay?
Yeah.
I think this is great because everyone was saying that there's not going to be many games on launch. And with this, bam, you got 18 games on PlayStation Plus as part of the PlayStation Plus collection. Some that haven't been on PlayStation Plus before, and some of your favourites that have been on PlayStation Plus before that you may not have had a chance to download or you missed I think it's a great move. And while I'm talking about it, I might as well mention the rumor that it's supposed to be coming to PS4 as well, the PlayStation Plus collection, but unconfirmed.
Can I just run this by? I may be wrong. Is this similar to Xbox Game Pass?
Yes, yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Or is it a monthly subscription and then you just get everything in one? Or
It's essentially, if you have PS Plus, you have the PlayStation Plus
Has
collection.
this been confirmed? Because no one's actually 100% whether or not it's with the PS Plus or you have to pay extra.
I believe so. Didn't Sony say, like, if you have PS Plus, you get
I
PS
thought
Plus
it was for
collection?
Plus members.
Like, I swear this was announced in the actual...
If it's a separate charge, then I
Console
could
info.
understand the nay.
I don't
So
think
it-
it's a
so it
separate
could
charge.
be
I think
all
it
in
is
one
just for
then.
Plus. But yeah, it's essentially a much smaller version of the Game Pass.
Only
So-
at the moment, because it's only starting out. It will obviously grow.
So yeah, I think in the future it does have potential. But right now, like at the start, I don't think it's going to be that great of an incentive. So
Sorry, go on.
I doubt there'll be like any PS5 modifications to it. So it's still essentially going to be the PS4 games, just played on PS5 and, as rumors might suggest, PS4. The games are all pretty old. So for anybody who has already played them games, or maybe they are not interested in them games, I see it as kind of pointless.
I can
Like-
understand that, but it's not like they're going to bring out brand new, fresh, hot games to a PlayStation Plus
No,
subscription.
yeah,
for you to download and free to play.
I get that. I completely get that. What I'm thinking though is they probably should have had some newer games, because I mean some of the titles on that list are very old, and at this
Yeah.
point, like, I've either played them or I
Or you're
already
not interested.
well, I've either played them or I already downloaded them off of PS Plus when they were available, and still not bothered to play them.
That's another thing. Until Dawn is one of them. I already downloaded that on PS Plus on the PS4.
So straight off the bat, you lose an incentive for the collection because you've already had one of them.
Little bit, yeah.
There's two things though. If it's included in the PS Plus, it's free.
I
You
mean,
can't say no
technically not,
if
because
it's
you're still
free.
paying for PS Plus.
Yeah, but you're paying that anyway.
Well, I mean, technically you don't have to though. Like, you
You
don't
do.
Yeah, but then
need
you're online
PS
game.
Plus.
You play your online.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
anyway.
obviously for me I do, but for
I
anybody who
expect-
doesn't play online, they don't need PS Plus.
I expect in the future for what they'll do is what I think it's EA does it. Whereas if it's a brand new game, you can play it for like an hour, like for free.
A trial.
Well,
Yeah.
what I read up is Sony wasn't going the approach of what Game Pass does when we do we release a new game and it's straight on Game Pass sometimes, depending on what the game is. Apparently, Sony is not doing that with new games. They will just be primarily old games.
I mean, they've said that before about PS Plus, and then they have put brand new games on there.
Fall Guys being one of them. That was instantly on PS Plus on release.
I mean, that's
Yeah, but
sort
it
of
was
an
a cheap
indie game. Like, I'm on
Yeah.
about more.
Yeah, no,
AAA.
but in terms of new games though.
It's not actually that new though when you think about it. Like, it's new to the PlayStation, but the game itself is not new because it had already been out for a while on what was it already out on? It was out in Japan on something. I think it was mobile.
I wasn't aware of that.
It came out in Japan like way before us, and then it sort of blew up over there, so they just released it everywhere.
Yeah. So what was said is Sony said they was not going to go down the road of putting new releases titles into the subscription model, as they just don't see that it's sustainable. Sorry, they don't see that it's sustainable.
Which is
Whether or not that'll change, we don't know.
well, I'd say that's definitely very true for Sony in general, because I mean, when you think about it, Sony have always released their consoles at a loss. They make their money back on the actual game sales themselves.
Yeah.
Because obviously
But that's-
Sony does take a kick of every game. So that's where
That's
they
where
make
I
their
think-
money.
That's where I think the trials will come in. Trial the game, reel the customer in, make you buy it.
Maybe? I don't know. Have they tried trials before? I mean, to be fair...
You've had trials.
Certain games, but not very many. But
Under
they
the
could
demo
start putting
section.
every like exclusive game onto there as a 1 hour trial. Do you want to play this?
So,
If you do, go buy it.
one thing I've noticed that I've actually been, well, I've thought about a few times now is, have you guys noticed how the PS4 actually has a lot less demos when compared to the PS3 had? Like, back on the PS3, nearly every other game had a demo available in the store. For the PS4, you can go weeks without a new demo appearing.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about the PS3, though. With the PS2 and the magazines, they were full of demos.
It's the same for Xbox store as well.
To be fair, though, PS3 did still have a lot of demos. Like, nearly every other game had a demo on the PS3.
Yeah.
There were some that didn't, but I'd say about 70-75% of games on the PS3 had a demo.
I mean, it could be worse. They could bring back PlayStation Home.
Oh, God.
That thing was so bad.
Don't scare us.
Oh. Did you ever play that, right?
I genuinely think it's going to be a good thing because
I enjoyed that.
one of the mistakes they made with PS4, for instance, they released it with about 4 games.
Yeah.
At least in this case, you might get a PS5, and there's not very many games on release, but at least you've got something to play on it.
There is Godfall. Godfall and...
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Little Big
And
Planet.
because we're getting it on the 19th, we'll have Cold War.
It's not Little Big Planet, I think. I think it's Sackboy's Adventures.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still Little Big
Little Big
Planet,
Planet.
ain't it? You know?
Same universe.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What? Right, we know Godfall is highly anticipated. So was Killzone before that came out. And when Killzone came out, I don't know about you guys, but I lost interest in that very, very, very quickly.
I wasn't
I think I
even.
played it about 5 minutes.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even interested in it from the anticipation.
Well, I mean, me, Ryan, and James played Killzone at EGX before the PS4 was even out.
Yeah.
When I played it there, like, I actually enjoyed the game. Like, I did have fun. But I think maybe looking back on it, that was more excitement that I'm playing the PS4 before it's out. Because when I had my PS4 here playing Killzone, I played a couple hours of the story, I tried online for a couple of matches, and then I just turned the PS4 off and left it off for like 6 months. Because there was just nothing out that I wanted to play at that point.
So do you think Godfall is going to go the same way?
I do. I think it's been overhyped. Like, I genuinely
Hype can kill games as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big problem, though, is companies announce and show trailers and that for games that just aren't ready.
Yeah.
Like, some games definitely need a few more years than they're allowed.
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix. Like, pretty much all the big ones are guilty of it. Like, in fact, no, it is mainly the big companies. Like, the smaller companies do actually take the time. Okay, that's
Because they
not
have
true.
to.
I mean, no, that's technically not true because in this America. So, yeah. But I'm not going to rant on them this week.
That's next week.
I mean, I could. I am slightly peeved off with them as well, but...
Rant.
I'll leave them alone. I'll leave them alone. Let's talk about something that I honestly never thought I would say again. I'm actually looking forward to the next Call of Duty.
Thought we was going to that.
I think. What do you want to do? This? Do you want to run your thoughts through, and then we'll go individually?
Well,
should we go one by one?
Well, first things first. Everyone's played it, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So
Let's do first thoughts.
Yeah, we'll go first thoughts. I mean, I've not enjoyed a COD since World War II, and then before that, it was like
Damn, you're
all
old.
the way back at the World War II, the one that was a couple of years back.
You don't get it, do you?
Oh,
Since he was in
Oh,
World War
God,
II.
I was too slow on that. But no, other than World War II, it was basically the PS3 games, like Ghost, which was PS3 and PS4. Like, that was when the PS4 came out. That's where I fell out of love with the series, and I just hated them all from that point forward. Like, genuinely hated them. I played this alpha, and I played one game on my own at first. Then I waited for James to come on, and we played for a few hours that night. I've played again today, and over the weekend, I've probably had about 8, 9, maybe 10 hours on it. And holy shit, I am actually really enjoying it. It's not got that like bullshit instant kill like the previous CODs and that. Like, you don't turn a corner, see someone, boom, dead instantly. Like, there is enough time to react now to being shot at and things like that. The gunplay feels solid, it feels smooth, and the important thing to me is it feels like the older CODs. Like, sort of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, you know, that sort of level. Like, the original gunplay where you could... If you were good, you could rush headfirst into a team, mow them all down, and not give a shit. You didn't have to worry about some idiot jumping down on you from 60 feet up in the air because he was running along the walls like fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus, sniping's good in this one. Like, they've actually made the snipers decent, even if they are
Sniping's
nerfed
supposed to be OP in this one.
It depends how
you're one
good
of those,
you are.
Alan.
I mean... I'm one of what? What are you on about? I'm one of what?
The moaners that are making the snipers get
The
nerfed.
moaner. I didn't say it was a bad thing.
The way I see snipers are, you have one bullet. If you miss that bullet, you're dead anyway. So you should be allowed the one-hit kill, because if you get a hit marker on that one bullet, you don't have enough time to get that second shot in to get the kill. And plus, quickscoping does take skill. If somebody gets shit on by a quickscoper, then sorry, but you got shit on, end of story.
Yeah.
It's like, there is a lot of skill required for quickscopes. Yeah, you can get lucky and get some kills that way, but quickscoping in general, like, to do good quickscoping, it does require skill.
So is it safe to say that you loved it from what you played through it?
Yeah, and I did a lot of sniping and using regular guns, so I didn't just limit myself to sniping like I used to. I did do a good mix of both.
What did everybody else think? James?
I really enjoyed it. I'm loving the fact that the snipers are back. I've missed them since probably Modern Warfare 3. Every sniper since then I've not enjoyed. They've made the aim down sights a lot slower in every single game. This one's finally back to the way it should be. I, personally, in my experience, I found I was dying too fast. But like I said earlier to Sam, I think it may have been my ping or something, because I know that my router's been playing up lately. So it's probably something on my end, not so much the game.
Yeah, because we were talking about this, weren't we? Like, you were dying instantly, whereas that was sort of the opposite that I had. Like, if somebody started shooting at me, I found that I had enough time where I could actually turn on them and just nail them if their aim wasn't on point. Like, if I got hit once or twice, I still had enough time, turn around, kill them. Headshot, you know? So I do think that was a ping issue on your side.
Yeah, so I'm not going to hold that against the game. So for me, I really enjoyed it. Even with that issue that I seem to have, I felt the snipers were balanced finally again. It's fun again. The maps are quite good. There was one map that's a bit too small for me. The sand one, what's it called?
My favourite map.
It is your favourite.
Satellite.
Yeah, so that one's a little bit small to me at the moment, but only because I'm always terrible when I first start Call of Duty. I need to play it a little bit to learn the maps.
Same.
Once I learn the map, I'll probably like that map. But yeah, for me, it's a definite buy for me. I'm definitely going to be getting that one.
Yeah, definitely same here as well. Ryan?
Probably completely opposite, to be fair. Although it's in alpha, so I won't hold too much of an opinion on it. But for me, it felt way too slow. Everything felt sluggish. Reloading.
Wait. Are you one of these that are fans of the ones that like air thrust around the map and run up?
No, I never played any of them. I played, obviously, my favourite was COD 5 and then Modern Warfare 2 and that, but they've added a lot of new animations into reloading, how the guns will move when you move and whatnot, and how you throw your grenades. That's one point I found out. Is throwing a grenade takes a while.
I don't like the grenades.
So I don't know if the animations that they've introduced have made it feel a lot more slow for me. But then again, it's still an alpha, so I can't really have a direct opinion on it at the moment until we see what it's like when it's come out of alpha and it's been released. But yeah, I played a few games and I was just kind of like, meh. It didn't really, I don't know, excite me as much as I wanted it to.
Did you try all the maps and all the modes?
I think I just kept on getting the LA one, is it? Los Angeles one?
Oh, Miami.
Miami, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's not a very good map. Like, I'm not a fan of that. We played it a couple of times, didn't we?
It's too dark. It's too campy.
Yeah, it's not much of a fun map. So
So I played that one. I must have had about 4 or 5 games, but I played that one a couple of times, and I went on the mode where you got boats, and you could use the boats to go.
I
favorite
hate
map.
that map. I hate that map.
That is my favorite map.
And I see what they're going with. I'm not too sure if I'm used to it. In terms of the mode, not much of an opinion on the mode.
I mean, it's just 5 flag domination, really.
Yeah, I guess it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna wait probably a bit longer. When it gets released, I'll probably rent it out. If it's
I would say maybe try the open beta, because there's probably going to be more maps, more modes. So
that's next week, isn't it?
Was that next week?
This coming weekend, yeah.
No, next weekend is still the alpha. So you can still download and play the alpha, but that's probably still going to be the same as this week. It is. I looked this up here because I wanted to look at the beta dates.
The tweet that I showed you regarding them nerfing the snipers, they're saying about it being next week in the beta.
No, that's the alpha. I might still have the tab open.
But while you look at that, what's your thoughts, Adam?
Not.
So my thoughts, I didn't want to play it at all. I thought it's just another COD game. All the multiplayer feels the same every year. Every time there's one out, I was ready to shit on it because there was no campaign involved either. And honestly, that's all I care about in COD games now. I was ready to jump on this podcast and just shit on COD. But I played one game about an hour or so before we started this podcast, and it was on that sand dune map that you were talking about.
Satellite.
Yeah, Satellite. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. It felt smoother. I still suck at it, but I can suck at a game and like it at the same time. I enjoyed it. I know what you mean about the grenades, though. But it just felt less bullshitty. It didn't feel like what not all the other CODs, but most of the CODs have felt like.
Yeah, that is exactly why I enjoy it.
I enjoyed this one. Whether or not I'll buy it, I think I'll do what Ryan's going to be doing: rent it out, see what the final product's going to be like, and then buy it if I still like it.
I'm looking forward to see what they've done with the zombies.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, this is going. Keep in mind, this is the first Call of Duty that 2 of the studios have actually worked on it together.
Yeah,
so if I'm not mistaken,
was that Call of Duty and World at War?
No, it's never happened before where 2 have worked on the same COD.
I could be wrong here, by the way. I don't know if it's a zombies map or a normal multiplayer map. I've read something about Alcatraz.
I'd imagine it being a zombies one.
Yeah, it's probably a zombies because there is an Alcatraz map already in zombies, so they're probably just bringing that one back.
Yeah.
You know what that means? We'll get all the old Black Ops maps for zombies.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Treyarch is one of the 2 studios working on it, so we know straight off the bat this is actually going to have a good zombies mode. Because if you ask me, like, I mean, Infinity Ward have tried their hand at it, Raven have tried their hand at it. They both suck donkey balls at zombies. Treyarch is where the fun is.
Didn't Treyarch introduce it, though?
Yeah, so Treyarch are the ones who made the original World at War zombies, all 3 Black Ops, well, technically all 4 Black Ops games. Actually, yeah, they've only made those 5 games.
Yeah.
But did you see the teaser for the zombies?
No, I've not.
I think I saw a small clip, a very small.
It was like 2 seconds long, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was, but I'm wondering if it's going to be a case of they're just going to spawn and come after you, or because when you look at that teaser, they're all just inside one room, and then you turn your light on and they see you. Is it going to be like hide from them and kill them? Like, you know,
can you
imagine do like a different take?
Imagine if you're allowed to sneak past the zombies.
That's what I
in
mean.
like
Yeah,
shadows
is it going to be
and
like
stuff.
that?
What
Rather than
about
they always know where you are?
What about 2 different modes? So we did have that. I think it was Black Ops 1 that did it. You had the regular zombies mode, and then you had that top-down view zombies mode where you.
Oh, that arcade.
Yeah, the arcade zombies. Yeah. What if it's like that, where the way you're saying it now, like it's sort of an open world, like Warzone with zombies, basically, where you have to survive as long as you can, and then they've got the regular zombie story mode as well.
I would hope so. That would be really good.
Well, see, now I don't like Warzone, but Warzone with zombies, I think, could be a really, really good concept.
They already did Warzone with zombies.
Did they?
They did Warzone zombies.
They did a small part of the map had the zombies, not the whole map with zombies.
Yeah, but we're not talking about with other players as well. I mean,
Are you
suppose
just
you're
talking
talking
about
and not
yeah,
not
the whole map to
fighting
yourself.
each other as well as zombies, just primarily zombies.
I think the 2 invested in Warzone now to probably create a new idea like that.
I mean, the thing is, like,
It'll feel more like a survival game though if they did
You've
it
got to
that way.
remember, like even the Warzone currently is going to carry over to the next game. It's
Yeah,
not
so
making a new Warzone.
they
or
aren't
anything,
wasting
so
resources
they
on
don't
Warzone,
need- yeah, exactly.
thankfully. Plus,
So they
with,
still can.
yeah, so I mean, when you look at it this way, like they're not wasting resources on Warzone because that's already made. They might add a few updates for it, but that's about it. Other than that, it's 2 studios working on it, so you've got double the manpower with less content to make. So I reckon we could not only be in for a really good campaign, but also a much more supported and working title. Because double the manpower.
I'm looking forward to the campaign more than anything. What does everybody feel about it being a Cold War thing?
I like it.
Yeah, that was quick.
You know it's going to be a lot of blood. You know it's going to be graphic. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Black Ops was like founded on. That just graphic. You know,
I mean,
war.
for me, it's not even that. For me, it's just I prefer the older and the modern versions instead of the futuristic sci-fi
yeah.
crap.
No, I'm with you on that. I'll tell you so. The Modern Warfare game that was released, that campaign, loved it.
Was that the Modern Warfare 2 remake?
No, the
Modern Warfare.
yeah,
Modern
like
Warfare.
the actual.
They just reused the name.
Yeah, and it's fucking ridiculous they did that. They should have given it a different name. Modern Warfare 4, go try Oxford with Black Ops 4.
Yeah. But yeah, the campaign on that one, like I love me World War games, so World War, World War II, any kind of Black Ops game. But Modern Warfare campaigns never really did it for me. But this one was very kind of like straight up, and it was decent. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, for me, because I used to love Medal of Honor back in the day, so those sorts of war games
Medal
back
of
in
Honor.
the day, that's the shit I like.
Yeah. So I've got the beta schedule here. So next week is still the alpha.
Just the open alpha for everyone.
Yeah, so like how you could just download it from the store. Anyone with a PS4 can go and download it and play it next weekend.
Yeah, but next week it'll be PS4 plus PC plus Xbox.
No. I'm getting to that now. So October 8th and 9th is PS4 early access, so that's pre-order only. So the 8th and 9th is pre-order only to give you early access to the open beta. Well, technically 2 days closed beta and then another 2 days open beta. Because the 10th to the 12th of October is a PS4 open beta. So essentially, if you pre-order the game on PS4, you get 5 days of the beta.
Of open beta,
Just to cut in though, what is the point in pre-ordering on the PS4 then? You're only losing out on 2 days.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good question.
After that, it's October 15th and 16th, which is Xbox and PC early access and PS4 open access. So if you pre-order on Xbox and PC, you get to play on the 15th and the 16th. Everyone on PS4 gets to play. And then October 17th and 19th is open on all platforms for anybody.
So how much do you reckon Sony's paid off for this? Like, we don't even need to pre-order. We pretty much get everything.
I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be more than just 2 days extra of the beta. You're going to be getting some other perks if you pre-order, surely.
Yeah, you'll more than likely
you
get
probably
some
get a
benefits
gun
in
and
that.
this, that, and the other.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's a lot of playtime before release. 'Cause, I mean,
that's a lot of playtime
5,
for people who don't need to
7.
pre-order.
Yeah.
That's 9 days of playtime if you pre-order.
Yeah, but that's a lot of playtime for people who don't pre-order.
Yeah, that's 7
So, like
days
James
if you
said,
don't pre-order.
What's the point in pre-ordering?
I mean, wherever they offer, I guess, as like an incentive
Remember
to
the
pre-order.
bonuses. If you go to the shop on the day of release, you'll get those bonuses anyway. You don't need to pre-order. All of their copies will have the pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
There is that. I mean, maybe you're going to get some in-game titles or something for being part of the closed beta.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, so it'll more than likely be something
Stuff that no one
like
ever
that.
uses.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, I mean, they never look good, though, to be fair.
We got a player card for just playing this this alpha.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't even check that out.
To be fair, I didn't check it out myself, either.
It told you if you logged in, but yeah.
Do you think I read that? I had to
you
ask
didn't
you
have to
to
see
send me the UA list so I could read it about the content creation for it, because I skipped it by accident. Speaking of another new game, not quite as FPS as COD, and it doesn't have a release date, but Final Fantasy 16 was announced. So, straight off the bat, I know two of you probably are not that interested.
I've seen the trailer. I've seen the trailer.
Okay, so, before I get into anything, do you both like Devil May Cry?
I do.
But that's what I was going to say. The game doesn't look like a Final Fantasy to me. It looks like Devil May Cry. When you look at the way they do the attacks, I don't know many of the games, as you know, but from what I saw, it didn't look.
So, right.
It looked Devil May Cry.
The battle style is very similar to Final Fantasy 15. Like the warp attacks they do in that, for example, is from Final Fantasy 15. Now, Final Fantasy 15 was a major shit show. And I'm not going to get into that, otherwise I'll be here all night ranting. But stop trying to make me rant! But Square Enix did hire the combat director from the Devil May Cry 5 game. So the person who designed the combat for Devil May Cry 5 has made the combat for Final Fantasy 16. And just from what we've seen in the trailer, there are definitely a lot of Devil May Cry aspects to it, but it looks so smooth. Like, it looks so fluid, which is definitely a very big benefit in my opinion. Now, James, you said it doesn't look very Final Fantasy. The animation, like the way they fight doesn't. But I don't know the way that they fight in all of the Final Fantasies. The way that the game looks like Final Fantasy. It reminds me of Final Fantasy 14. Mm-hmm. So,
but just the animations in the fights, it just very Devil May Cry.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Like, the way I'm thinking of it is, it's going to be a Final Fantasy story with Devil May Cry combat. Because, like, we see the icon powers and abilities that it seems our character can absorb or gain in some way. And that, to me, is very similar to the transformational attacks from Devil May Cry.
See, I watched the trailer, and it's probably because it looks like a Devil May Cry, which is why I thought the trailer looked good. Because I love Devil May Cry.
Okay, what?
But then again, I'm also not a Final Fantasy guy either, or at least not yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've not really played the series, have you?
Like, no, that's. I mean, I'm going to give an honest review on 10 when that happens, but until then, I'm not really a Final Fantasy guy. So,
what did you think of the trailer? Like, not the combat.
I thought the trailer
aspects.
was good. Like, if you take combat out, I still think the trailer looked good.
Okay, Ryan, have you seen the trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer now. It's like completely on the opposite scale of the games I played.
Well, no, I mean, I was going to say, like, they had the trailer on the PlayStation 5 announcement stream, so I didn't know if you were watching that or anything like that.
No, I didn't see it, unfortunately. I just searched up the clips I wanted to see, like Spider-Man and whatnot, but no, I didn't catch the Final Fantasy one.
So, one thing I do have to mention is, do either of you guys know just how much of a shit show the past few Final Fantasies were?
No, I've got mates that play Final Fantasy that have mentioned how shit some of them were and how great some of them were. But no, other than the little bit that I know, I'm pretty much where Ryan is at the moment.
Right. Let me put it this way then. Not counting Final Fantasy 14, the MMO currently. The general consensus among the Final Fantasy community is the last good Final Fantasy game was from back on the PlayStation 2.
Damn!
So that was... No, that was PS1. Yeah.
No.
You had Final Fantasy X on the PS2, Final Fantasy X-2, which, I mean, is a bit of a controversial title. And then you have Final Fantasy XII, which personally I'm not a major fan for, but there are still, like, it's 50-50 with 12. A lot like it and a lot don't like it. Then we get to the PS3 with, like, Final Fantasy 13, 13-2 and Lightning Returns, and the general consensus for them is not very well received. Then we go to Final Fantasy 15 on the PS4, and that was a goddamn shit show. Like, it was so bad. The world was completely open, Like a massive, massive overworld, completely massive. Like I'd put it sort of on the level of like Red Dead Redemption massive. It was insanely big. The only problem is it was completely fucking empty. It was just
sounds like Red Dead Redemption Online as well, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It was basically just a general big open wasteland with like 4 cities in there, and you could only drive on roads. You couldn't drive off road. They did patch that though, so you can actually drive off road in that game now. But here's the thing: the game itself has essentially no fucking story. To get the story, you have to watch a movie, watch an anime. And play all the fucking DLC.
You rant. He's started to rant now.
He started his rant now.
I think he ranted about this on a previous podcast, funny enough, as well.
I might have done, yeah, I might have done.
You know when he's ranting, because he gets high-pitched.
Well, yeah,
like, you have to watch the movie.
And then...
We say rant, but he's actually triggered. That's the thing.
I'm triggered on 15. I am triggered by 15. But other than that, we have one more PS4 Final Fantasy. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that's a game that lulls you into comfort early on. Like, you start thinking, okay, this is actually kind of good. Then you get to the ending. And that's where Nomura, the sort of like developer... No, I'm not going to spoil. I'm not going to spoil. But that's essentially where Nomura, like the head producer and that, basically sticks his middle finger up at all fans of the original. Everything goes completely out the fucking window.
To be fair, that sounds pretty badass.
I was going to say that game feels like it's more targeted towards the non-FF fans.
Casual fans.
So here's the thing.
It's a good game.
Right.
It's just not a good Final Fantasy.
The first 90% of the game is targeted at 7 fans. The last 10% of the game is... I don't even know who the fuck it's targeted at. But it's not Final Fantasy fans, that's for sure.
So you're a big Final Fantasy fan. Would you say that obviously you said the last decent one was on PS2. Are you saying it could be a potentially dying franchise?
So... It sort of was, because I mean, they did have a real shit show of a release of the original Final Fantasy XIV MMO as well. That started off as like 1.0, and when it came out, it was basically unplayable. They tried to make it so high spec that even like the highest end of PCs were struggling to run the game on release.
Crisis.
I mean, it essentially nearly killed the entire game. In the end, though, they shut it down, and a small team, like a very small team, actually basically rebuilt the entire game and relaunched it. Now, fast forward 4 expansions, and it is above and beyond one of the best Final Fantasies in the series. It's also one of the most successful games in terms of profit Square Enix have ever had.
Yeah, but that's because you got to buy the game, buy the DLC, pay to play it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the amount of content in it and the actual story, like Shadowbringers, the last expansion for it, was nominated for nearly every damn award for stories out there when it comes to Game Awards, and it won nearly all of them. Now, the producer, Yoshida-san, Naoki Yoshida, for Final Fantasy XIV, he's the producer for Final Fantasy XVI. You have Tokai as the director. Again, he worked on Final Fantasy XIV for the first, A Realm Reborn and the first expansion, Heaven's Ward. And then the team working on the game is Production Division 3. And again, that is the team that worked on Final Fantasy XIV. Now, what this says to me is we are actually getting a development team, a producer, and a director that actually care about the game, they care about the fan base, and they actually take feedback into consideration.
So what you're saying is a change is coming?
I think this is going to be the game that relights the fire in the Final Fantasy series.
Like, right, now I've got that in my head.
Eh?
I've got that song.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I genuinely think this is going to put Final Fantasy back on track for where it needs to be. Like, Yoshi P is a guy who has literally burst out in tears on stage during an event because he was so overwhelmed by fan reaction and excitement. Like, he actually always interacts with fans and things like that. Like, he is a general down-to-earth director, and if fans have a problem, he will actually listen and make changes if possible to eliminate that problem. He's not one of these directors who'll make a game and then fuck it, move on to the next cash cow, you know? Like, he will carry on working on it.
I can see where you're coming from, but do you think you're bigging it up a bit too much, a bit too early from one trailer?
I mean, I'm not even bigging it up from the trailer.
He's bigging it up a bit, doesn't it?
Here's the thing, I'm not bigging it up from the trailer. I'm bigging it up from the team working on it.
So why didn't 14 relight the fire? Because it's the same team.
Because it's an MMO. Like, you're always going to have people that will not play just for the fact it's an MMO. They don't care it's Final Fantasy. They see MMO and they're like, no, I'm not interested. MMOs have shit stories. Whereas the Final Fantasy 14 MMO basically breaks that concept and actually really does have one of the best ever storylines in Final Fantasy history.
Can I just say, I feel like Ryan's position right now is when we did that Japanese snack unboxing and he had no idea what you were talking about. So
just talks them like, yeah.
But no, maybe I am bigging it up a bit. But it's not because of the trailer by any means. It's specifically the team working on it. Like, knowing who is working on it, I honestly don't feel worried that we're going to get any form of subpar project. You know, I think we're going to have an amazing game from start to finish.
Yeah,
I mean, I will say the trailer looked amazing. So
yeah,
I do have high hopes for it.
Don't a lot of Final Fantasy fans automatically think that they're going to get a great game and then they're inevitably let down?
No. We've stopped hyping Final Fantasies pretty much ever since 13 released. Like, 15... I mean, 15 was a meme because it basically took 10 years to make. And in those 10 years, it was restarted from scratch about 6 times. So, the Final Fantasy community now, we don't care about new releases. We get them, and if it's good, it's good. If it's bad... I mean, we kind of should have known at this point.
Would you say that the FF community then is not as die-hard as it used to be because of the letdowns?
When it comes to new releases, I would say yes. When it comes to older games, no, the community's still just as die-hard as it ever was.
Yeah.
Like, 7 to 10, the community on those 4 games it's through the roof. All the other games do have a community as well, but those 4 are like the biggest ones, I think.
The top dogs.
Yeah. It's like the most active, basically. So, yeah, I mean, the community still die hard about the series, but not so much new games. Like,
yeah.
For a while now, we haven't really cared. It's like the 7 remake. I mean, that was meant to get everyone excited, because, I mean, it's 7. Even if you guys don't play Final Fantasy, you know how big FF7 is. Like, it's the most ever sold game in gaming history.
Even my first FF.
Even non-fans know that the game's big.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's got one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fan base going.
And the general consensus for the remake was, yeah, it's okay. Like, it got hyped up when it was announced, because, I mean, a 7 remake
that's
was
what
announced.
happens.
Yeah, like, it was hyped as hell then. After that, and we started seeing more and more things from it, it was like, do you really want to go there? Like,
Can someone please just gif that face he made with that sound?
Don't go giving people ideas.
You played the demo of it, didn't you, Sam?
Yes.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So the game as
I
a
enjoyed
whole-
the demo.
What put you off on that game? Was it just
The
the
ending.
ending? Or...
The ending. 110% the ending.
So the game itself, you can't really moan about. Then it's just the end.
The game itself is about a 7 out of 10 for me. Like, it's not amazing by any means. But the ending took that 7 out of 10 for me down to, like, a 4 out of 10. Like, the ending was trash. Absolute trash. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of where we are for that, to be fair. But
And just to confirm, are they bringing it out on PC?
So
I know that they've messed up on a lot of their games where it says it'll be out on PC and they've retracted it. Is this one of those, or
this seems to be sort of where Sony fucked up on the stream.
yeah?
So it seems to be a PS5 exclusive for a little bit, and then it will eventually come out to PC. About other consoles? Don't know.
So it's a timed exclusive.
That is the case of what we're thinking at the moment. The problem is, Square Enix will not comment on it. Like, journalists, Gamatsu, Kotaku, Siliconera, they've all gone after Sony and Square Enix for comment on this to find out what's going on. Sony and Square are basically both just saying, no comment. Like, it's going to be available on PS5 at launch. That's all they're saying. So it's not going to be on PC at launch, but it will eventually come to PC, I imagine. They wouldn't have had that in the trailer if it wasn't going to be.
They would, because I don't know if it was that game. There was a game that they had that in the trailer, and they had to retract it, saying it's not coming to PC. We do apologise. That was an error on our end.
But I mean, Square Enix themselves should make the trailer. So it should have been them that added that in. If they are working on a PC version, they would add that in. I don't think they would add that if they don't plan a PC version.
It's definitely on one of the trailers. So I would imagine all of the companies made their own trailers.
Yeah.
One of them fucked up.
Well, that's what I
Sony
mean,
took
because it was on
Sony took heat
Sony's
for it.
stream, but it was not on the video uploaded to the Square Enix YouTube channel.
Yeah, so maybe they added it by accident.
I mean, it's possible. But given how Square are slowly bringing their titles over to PC, more than likely.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to a topic that all four of us can take part in.
Ryan can take a deep breath now.
It's like, oh my god, I get to talk! So, we've talked about the next-gen consoles. We have more details now, including one particular feature. And this is probably going to be where people are either on the fence. Like, I'm not sure where you guys are going to go with this. Backwards compatibility. Now, for me, Xbox have nailed that by allowing every game all the way back to the original Xbox.
Smashed it.
They've done what every consumer wants.
Yes, we have wanted backwards compatibility ever since they removed the PS2 backwards compatibility from the PS3. Now, Sony fucked us over on the PS4 with this, and they're fucking us over on the PS5 with this. We can't play...
Is there backwards compatibility just not enough?
You can play
Only
PS4
PS4
games.
You can
about
play like
94%.
Yeah, like 90s into 90s.
Right, so the problem is there's two numbers floating around. There's 99% and there's 94.
It's got to be 94. 99%
Yeah.
sounds way too high.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'm in different opinions of this because backwards compatibility to the PS4 isn't enough. It needs to go further back. But at the same time, I also just want to play brand new games on the new console. And I think their strategy is to get people buying the new console to play those fresh games. So I can understand it as well, but I'm sort of, I don't know.
Go on, James.
Mine's a little bit longer, so you go first.
Well, what I was basically going to say is, backwards compatibility for PS4 is nice, but here's the thing. I am upgrading from a PS4. If I want to play PS4 games, I have my PS4.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to hand in my PS4 to get a PS5.
It's like, what I don't have is
There
my
are people that will have to,
PS1,
though.
my PS2. I mean, I've still got my PS3, but that's essentially a dust bunny at this moment. I need to clear
There
that
are
out.
people that will have to, did James just say?
Yeah, so they may not be able to afford a PS5 without selling their PS4.
Oh, right, okay.
So you need to
Yeah.
think of those people. So
I mean, I do get that, but what is going to be more beneficial in the long run? Full backwards compatibility or just to the PS4, which only a few people can really properly take advantage of?
of course, 100% full time, but that's one of the things that was even bothering me. So, okay, you can get PS4 games on there, but most people, not everyone, but most people already have a PS4.
Mm-hmm.
That's the least relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, why can't they use like the PS Now to have every game digital from each console.
Yeah. Do your
As the
backwards
backwards
compatibility all the way back through the
Even
PlayStation
if I have to
now.
pay for it, that's fine. I don't care. Okay, I can't put my old disc in there and play it. That's fine. I'll even buy it on PS Now, or well, not PS Now because it's a monthly
It's a subscription-based thing, yeah.
But
So
if they had that sort of thing, I would be happy with that.
here's the thing: we know for a fact they can port PS2 games on the PS4. Like, you can
Yeah,
buy
and
PS2
PS1.
games on the PS Store, and these aren't remastered in any way. Like,
No.
they literally still have the PS2 graphics, they have the PS2 intro, they have
For
the
OG.
PS2 menus. Like, it is literally the PS2 game on the PS4 store,
I think
essentially.
the community has shown how big of an impact it still is when, you know, you had games like San Andreas that was released for the PS4 with backwards compatibility for the PS2. A lot of people downloaded that. A lot of people are still hyped over the old games. I know I am when I'm playing the Xbox. I've got a couple of old Xbox 360 games on there.
Yeah.
I still think it's important, especially, you know, if you're looking to compete against everything else that's on the market. I'm sure when Xbox didn't have the backwards compatible, they were announcing that we're going to be backwards compatible. This was a few years ago, and then PlayStation came out and said they're going to be backwards compatible. And I was fuming because there is a lot of games you grow up with and you still want to play if someone gives you that chance. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It needs to happen. It's got to be a thing. I was playing just the other day on the Xbox an old game that Ryan might remember. I don't know if James or you'll remember, Sam. Doritos Crash Course.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Doritos.
Yeah.
That wasn't a PlayStation game. That was
No. It was an Xbox game.
Oh.
But because of the backward compatibility kind of thing, that was what, 360 was it?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah. But I could go back and enjoy that game all over again because it's been time since I played it, and I played it again and I had a whale of a time. So I think the PlayStation need to do something like that. I think as far back to PS4 isn't good enough.
I completely agree.
Like I said before, though, I'm sort of on the fence on an opinion about it. I can take it or leave it, but it'd be nice.
So, we know they can port PS2 games on the PS Store, for example. They could probably do the same with PS3 games, because, I mean, I think there is a couple on there. Like, there is definitely some PS3 games on PS Now.
Yeah, there is.
So, why can't they just release... Like, every game they've got on the PS3 store, for example, release that on the store.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, you've
There's no
instantly
reason.
got backwards compatibility for 90% of the PS3 games ever made. We know they can do it.
And
Like-
even if we had to pay for it, I don't think we would moan too much. Like, buy
No.
the game as opposed
Right.
to have...
If I had to pay again for another game, like, say I've already got the game on my PS3. If I had to pay 10, 15 quid to get it on my PS5, I would do that for just an ease of use, you know?
Assuming that we're talking about discs. If you've already got it downloaded, obviously it's on your PSN, so therefore you definitely shouldn't have to pay for it again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose if you've already bought it, then yeah, you should get it for free. If
Yeah.
you only have the disc, then yeah, you should have to pay because it's technically like a digital download.
Not have to, because for instance, with the other ones, you can just put the disc in and it's free because it's got backwards compatibility. But I wouldn't mind if I had to pay for it. Just at least
Yeah,
the
I mean,
option's
there's
there.
definitely quite a few games like that I wouldn't mind paying for again if I could just play them on the damn current gen console, you know?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, it's not even like they can't do it. It's just that they won't, which
it's
is
like
a
that-
bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
like they're
frustrating
choosing
part.
not to. It's like
When they know how much we moan about it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we know they've already got the data. They've already got the data on a server because the PS3 store is still live. So they've already got all of that information there. Sure, it's going to be a very, very large database, but what is to stop some IT tech taking 30, 40 seconds out of his day, Control-C everything, Control-V on a new database?
True.
That's literally all they need to do, really, when you think about it. They just need to move it from one store server to the next. Like, everything else is there.
Yeah.
It's like, I
It's a bit of
suppose...
a question, why aren't they doing it? It's so simple.
Like, I suppose you might have to make
be a reason.
I suppose you might have to make a few tweaks for compatibility on the stores.
They'd probably be like they'd need some sort of emulator to actually run that anyway, built into the actual.
Because if they put it onto PlayStation Now, you can just stream it from their server.
Yeah,
You don't need anything.
that would be the obvious choice. I don't know why they don't just do that.
I mean, here's the thing, like, the encoder for the PS3 was different, and it's so different to the fact there's not actually a properly working emulator for that just yet. But obviously with Sony being the manufacturer and the creator of the original hardware, they can quite easily make a chip to go into the PS5 that will emulate it using the PS5 hardware.
I mean, at the moment, I think that's too late. But
yeah, but for a later console, it should happen.
PS Now is streaming. There's no reason.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
There's the option. There is the option to download on PS Now, but you don't need to.
They can take that away from it.
That they could have download availability on certain games and streaming only on other games, which is how you do your backwards compatibility.
So I don't actually have any damn luck with PlayStation Now streaming.
I've never had an issue. Everyone I've always seen moan about it, but every time I've used it, it's been full.
Is it the connection issue?
Well, here's the thing. I have about 300 meg download and about typically 25 to 30 upload. That is more than good enough for PlayStation Now. Like, whenever I do the connection test on there, perfectly fine. Whenever I play a game via streaming, it is always about 1 to 2 seconds delayed. Like, for example, I tried to play Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus on PlayStation Now. I press jump, and then I have to wait about 1 to 2 seconds before my character will actually jump.
The input delay sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's like, it's completely unplayable like that. I mean, sure, I could probably play poker or chess or some shit like that, but any other form of game?
I have to give props to Sony though, because when I found out about that function on the PlayStation, I was buzzing. I thought it was a mint idea to be able to stream games, especially when nowadays games are getting bigger in file size. Just stream.
Yeah.
If it's working properly, that is. For me, I'm on that store like every day when I'm on PlayStation, because I just wanted to see what I can play without waiting ages to download it. You know, go back to the days where you put a disc in a console and you can play it. That's what it feels like. So props to Sony for that function. That's something I wish Xbox would introduce.
It is a good idea to stream it rather than wait for it to download. The thing is, though, like you said, Sam, there are issues there. PlayStation Now doesn't feel like it's finished. So
pretty much.
My question now is then, are they going to carry PlayStation Now over to next gen, or is it not popular enough and will they scrap it?
I think
they will.
I think they're going to scrap it and remake it.
Yeah.
I think eventually PlayStation Plus Collection will turn into PS Now. I think that's sort of what they're aiming to do with the collection.
That would mean bringing streaming to PlayStation Plus Collection, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll keep them separate.
No, what I mean is I think rather than using the PlayStation Now banner, they're going to merge the two features.
If they do that, they'll have to charge more for the PS Plus.
No, I still think it's going to be a separate price, like an add-on sort of thing to PS Plus. Because, I mean, that's essentially what it is on the PS4. It's still a separate payment.
That may be where they lose me for paying for that subscription then. Because if that's the case, there's going to be stuff that goes to PlayStation Plus Collection.
But you can't play.
That will already come to PlayStation Plus normal
No.
at some point.
I'm not saying...
Because the way PlayStation Now is, you've got games on there that also come to PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is they're going to keep the two features separate in how they work, but rather than having them both as different names, they're going to slightly merge them. So you'll still have the PS Plus games and all that. Then you'll have the PS Plus Collection, and similar to how Game Pass do some console-only games, some PC-only games, and both like console and PC, I reckon the PS Plus Collection is going to be sort of like that. Some are going to be streamable, some are going to be downloadable, some are going to be both.
If it's going to be a separate charge, I think it's going to be done where you've got your PlayStation Plus games, but some people miss them, they don't download them, they miss the chance, rada. PlayStation Plus collection may be a library of all PlayStation Plus games that have ever been.
That could work.
I don't know. That kind of defeats one of the selling points of PS Plus.
Well, no, because because PlayStation Plus is to play online anyway, regardless.
Well, no, because I mean, one of the big selling points of Plus is the games.
Plus your exclusive discounts as well.
Although remember, they have spoken about getting rid of the play online only with PS Plus. So what they were saying was they might just get rid of that, so therefore you can play online without it, but you can get the PS Plus and get the PS collection.
I mean,
and obviously benefits with it.
Here's the thing: do you guys really care if they removed the online play from it?
No, I don't mind paying it. To be fair, I remember how much I moaned when they first did it. That peed me off so much. But now
the first time I was so angry, but you've sort of gotten accustomed to it now.
Yeah, it's just I see why, because I'm getting the free games, which most of the time they're kind of crap.
Yeah,
but sometimes they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, when they first announced the change where you had to have PS Plus to play online, I remember being a bit peed off, but I didn't really care too much because I had PS Plus at the time and I knew I was still going to have it for the games and that. So, in the long run, it didn't really affect me much. Just like if they removed the online requirements, I generally won't care, to be honest.
Well, I am surprised that they're keeping it going, though, because didn't Xbox remove the requirement of having gold to play online?
They merged it with Game Pass Ultimate. So you
yeah, they did, yeah.
You're not paying separate, it's all in one. It's actually pretty decent.
So you are still paying it, I guess, but it's just one payment now rather than individual ones.
You do actually save money. You're getting Game Pass on both PC and Xbox, and you're paying for gold as well, all merged in one payment, which is cheaper than paying for them all separate.
That's not bad, yeah.
Speaking of Game Pass, Ryan, we slightly touched on this topic last week. For the new Xboxes, you can use Game Pass, and after so long, you will eventually get a console. What are your thoughts on that particular way?
It doesn't work like that.
Well, no,
Say that again.
right.
No, so it's like a loan. You pay £40 a month, you'll get the Game Pass plus the console, and after so much time, you'll have paid off the console.
Right, and have you heard of this finance thing they're doing?
Yeah. So this is So I did read into this. Yeah. I was going often for it because you could basically, if it's the right thing I'm thinking of with what you just said, it's basically you could upgrade your console. I could take my Xbox install, upgrade it to the next Xbox. It's kind of like an agreement, and you do pay for a certain amount of months or something, and then you have that. I think you have that for. I don't know if you can upgrade the original Xbox to the Xbox One S, and you can upgrade that to the new Xbox that again released or something like that. I read up on it briefly. I do know what you're on about. I thought. At first, I was going to do it, but I was like, oh, nah, I don't fancy another monthly payment coming out.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's sort of what we touched on last week, how this is essentially a loan, like it's essentially a credit option. So, I mean, how many people who realistically can't really afford the credit, but still went for it anyway?
A lot of people are going to go for it, especially because of the amount of time they've got to save.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Do you think people are going to go for the credit option, even though they still technically can't afford and end up getting into bad debt over it?
Yeah, because they can't afford to pay £450 on day.
Yeah, I think it may cause debt, but it's going to be the easier option for them there and then.
But thing is, if it's still going to cause them debt, is it really a wise option?
It might not be a wise option, but that's not to say that people won't be doing it.
So I can understand why Microsoft are doing it. Like, it is helpful for people to get the console. But there are going to be people out there who, even with the finance route, like, it's going to put them into debt and essentially put them into a worse place overall, which might not have happened if Microsoft didn't offer this introduction.
But that would come down to the individual, though.
Yeah, that responsibility.
That's not Microsoft's problem.
That responsibility won't fall on Microsoft. That'll be an individual responsibility.
I'm not pointing it on Microsoft. What I'm saying is, do you think it's going to happen because Microsoft have allowed this? Because I mean, obviously, there are other places.
It's not like Microsoft are just allowing people to get in debt. It's not as black and white as that.
They're
giving people the option to get the console when they want it and pay off in drips and drabs. It's down to a personal individual to take that responsibility on themselves to see if they can or cannot afford it.
Oh no, I completely get that.
Will not get in debt, and
yeah,
then
I completely
and I imagine there'll be a credit check.
It would be a credit check.
There'd probably be credit check.
If it's finance, it's credit check. So if they really, really can't do it, then they won't be.
They probably
anyway.
would get rejected from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, though,
I don't think it's a massive issue. I think it's a good opportunity.
Like I said, I was close to getting it. I was close to taking my Xbox in store and just upgrading it. But I think it was just I've already got paying off some finance stuff as it is, so I didn't want to add anything else to it. So.
Plus, I mean, it works out at like double the cost of the console anyway. Once stores.
Yeah,
I was going to say, how much
in
is
the
the
long
interest?
run?
I can't remember how much the interest was.
Well, you have to have it for 18 months, don't you?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like, what
wild.
did you say, right? 40 quid a month.
I have no idea. I think it's cheaper than that. I think
it is cheaper.
20 quid or something. It's not you're not looking in your 40s. It is cheaper than that, but then I'm pretty sure the interest.
It won't be 20 because that means you're only paying like 400.
I thought it was about £35 a month.
I swear it was cheaper than 30. But then
but bear in mind there was two prices though, weren't there, for the X and the S?
Yeah. But I can't remember seeing the X, the Series X being that high. I can't remember. To fair, there was a cut-off date for it though. Like if you didn't opt into it, then you wouldn't have got it at this stage.
Oh, so it's not something they're doing continuously as time goes on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't either. I thought it was like a permanent thing.
No, it literally was a limited time event. You opt into it, you sign up for it, and then you're done and dusted. And then I believe it's stopped now. You can't do it.
I mean, at the end of the day, what people can do is get out a loan for the price of the console and pay off the loan. Exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's an issue with Microsoft doing that. I think that helps them to try and get some sales. I think that's a really good idea.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so long as there
always
are credit checks, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be the option of getting a loan to get the console. Like, I was never disputing that. I was more on the point of
it costing more in the long run.
Not quite that, but Microsoft making it so easy, if you get what I mean.
It's already easy enough. Like, I don't think that makes it more easier.
There's no difference of signing up for a phone contract.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, no matter what you do on finance, contract, or whatever it is, you always end up paying more in the long run anyway.
Yeah, that's why I never do it.
That's another good point as well. Do you reckon that phone companies are going to start giving out PS5s and Xbox X's with phone contracts?
Oh yeah, I reckon deals are going to come.
I mean,
wasn't that long ago they did it with the PlayStation 4? Well, I'd say not that long ago, but
well, after the release, yeah.
I mean,
it took them about a couple of months.
Ryan, do you know anything about this?
There's nothing in the works yet, but we have done it in the past with the PlayStation, and we did it with Spider-Man when that was released. So it is something that
could happen.
Phone companies could do, yeah, because they'll make up one. You get more customers. It's a no-brainer. You'll get more customers, and then not only that, and you got more money going to the business. But it's something phone company I work for have done, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do it again.
Well, I mean, that's actually how I got not my very first laptop, but the laptop I actually started YouTube with like 8 years ago. Because I mean, back then, I couldn't afford a computer or laptop or anything like that, so I got a phone contract with one.
One of my old PlayStation 4s was a gift from a girlfriend at the time because she got a contract out at Carphone Warehouse and it came with a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that's how I got the laptop from Carphone Warehouse.
It's a great way for these.
It'll definitely happen again.
You'll probably find more third-party companies like Carphone Warehouse or whatnot doing the deals more than the actual mobile networks because they'll have more flexibility around marketing and sales.
Yeah.
These like Carphone Warehouse, but like once again, we've showcased it before that we've thrown in consoles as a bundle, and not only us, other mobile providers have done directly as well. So I'd keep an eye out because it might be a thing.
So, I mean, to pretty much wrap up on the console talk, we already know the pre-orders are a mess for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Xbox haven't opened their pre-orders yet. that is on the 22nd, I believe, that they're going to start opening pre-orders.
They've got to be dancing and clapping there. I've seen that the PlayStation one's a mess.
But there's
More
two
than
things.
likely.
Theirs could mess up just as much. It could
Yeah.
sell out just as much. If it doesn't, is that not just as embarrassing?
Yeah,
I
if it
suppose,
doesn't,
Like,
then
oh,
doesn't
hang on,
that show
let's
that
struggle to sell them.
not as much people want that console?
I'll say Xboxes could go to shit. Actually, no, Xboxes could go as successful as possible. But I think PlayStation would still win. And I'll tell you why. Because the last two next-gen consoles, PlayStation have owned. They've got new customers in. They've beat Xbox at multiple events, sales and whatnot. So they've already got their customers there. All these now Xbox is just, although the specs of the console as been showcased is better than PlayStation, that doesn't necessarily mean all them PlayStation fans are going to go over to Xbox, because I think PlayStation's I think PlayStation is still going to win it.
So
even if the specs are better, because I think the PlayStation's already shown in the past how hot on they are with how they are with consoles and that, and they haven't messed up or made any drastic decisions like Xbox has in the past. And I think that's kind of playing catch up. Xbox is playing catch up. That's what it is.
So Ryan, do you think then Xbox have had to do these massive specs to try and get ahead of PlayStation and bring some of their players over to Xbox?
I think they have. But
Do you reckon it's a desperate move?
I think they have. I don't think it'll work, because I don't think PlayStation's messed up drastically enough for people to go, I don't want to. PlayStation hasn't come out and said, oh, it's an all digital console to get a lot of people going. We did that years ago, and that's where half of our fan base disappeared.
So, I mean, here's the thing. The X is spec'd higher, but realistically, the difference is minuscule.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
people are
It's
blowing
always-
this way out of proportion.
They are just on a couple of
In
numbers.
terms, in terms of performance, there's not going to be a massive difference.
You're not going to notice it at all.
It's
Here's the
always been
thing, though.
safe.
It's like, the X is spec'd higher, but the games are still weighed down by the S, so the games can't take full advantage of the X.
Yeah.
So,
So
I mean,
it's there for-
it's a mute point. Like, the specs are a mute point at this point. Like, it's just up in the air.
Honestly, it would take Sony a massive balls up for any of their fans to consider Xbox, because I think that's where most of Xbox's fans disappeared to, is the multiple fuck-ups Microsoft has done in the past, announcing consoles and whatnot.
Well, I mean, speaking of balls ups, what are we predicting for release? Like, both PlayStation 5 and Xbox, are we looking more towards a smooth release, do you reckon? Or do you think we're in for
I think
bad, rough release?
They're both going to sell out instantly. I don't think there's going to be enough consoles on either end. I think it's going to be smooth, but there's going to be a lot of people unhappy because they can't get one.
I think both consoles may likely be faulty as fuck on release. I think it's going to be rough as hell, and honestly, this is one of the reasons why I'm not going to bother early, because they're going to need to get all the nooks and crannies out of the way, all the little bits.
I mean, can I just say one thing? I really hope the PS5 does not start setting on fire and melting the case.
I was going to say,
like
just look at the
original
PlayStation 4 on
PS4s.
release date.
Yeah, it's like the side of the PS4 case was getting so hot. It
Brilliant
was
thing is, the
literally
PS4
melting.
set on fire, yet still outsold Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, get it while it's hot.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think it's going to be a rough one. I think not just because of the climate we're currently in, but because also there is a potential chance that we could have a second wave and whatnot, which could mess up the whole.
That's actually a very good point. The UK might actually be going into a complete lockdown.
Yeah, we are due another lockdown.
We're not going to go into complete.
I don't know. Well, we don't know if we
They've said-
are or not.
They've said they really don't want to go into complete. That is
That
the
doesn't
last
mean
straw.
they won't, though.
Yeah, but it is the last thing they're going to
Yeah, I know, but
look at
it
doing,
is
so.
still a possibility. Like, it's
I
still
know
on
that
the
they're looking
table.
to shut down London.
But I mean,
So
what's that going to do to the release for the UK? Like, let's
so-
say worst case scenario, we do go back into a full lockdown.
There'll be a full economy crisis.
I mean, we're
That's
already
already
essentially in an economy crisis.
No, the economy's slowly building up again. But if this hits, then obviously it's all for nothing.
I mean,
and
if
the
I was
economy's going to
Sony,
crash.
if we went into a full lockdown, I would take control of these pre-orders. I would make sure that we send them out as opposed to these companies. Get in touch with all the people that's got the pre-orders, get their addresses, get them sent to them, and then just have it so you can buy it on our website. We'll get it sent to you next day or whatever, and just take over every delivery service there is, DPD, Amazon, the lot. Just use them all.
Just deal directly with Sony.
Exactly. Just deal with us. Don't worry about shops because half of them aren't going to be open. The ones that aren't going to get deliveries, this, that, and the other. We'll get it to you.
But then that'll be a heavy weight on limited consoles as well.
Yeah,
it would be, but
because
that's the only option
they wouldn't be able to ship anywhere near the amounts that all these different individual stores would be able to do. It's like, when you look at it that way, if Sony do take control of that, I mean, not even 1% of the total amount of consoles are going to go out on the first day. Because there's no way a single company like Sony, even with as big as it is, can compete against a nation worth of stores.
Bear in mind, though, this is if there's a complete lockdown, so all this is hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, it is completely hypothetical, and it is only for the UK. Like, people in other countries don't need to worry about what we're talking about right now. But it is still a technical possibility for the UK to happen.
I mean, it's still a pandemic, Sam. Like, other countries
yeah,
don't need
but
to
no,
worry. They could get to full lockdown
what I'm
too,
saying
but...
is, like, they don't really have a full lockdown possibly on the table at the moment. Well, damn, where?
Well, some of them do. Some of them are ahead of us. Some of them are on the same curve, but...
Mostly... Well,
hypothetically, imagine it's just the UK. That is what I would do in the UK.
I think it's going to be a big obstacle regardless, and it's probably going to affect some sales, whether or not we go into a little lockdown anyway. And then you've got to look into sales in general. You know, who's preferring what. But the biggest obstacle for both brands would probably be the whole climate we're living in at the moment, and hoping for not a second lockdown or an easier way around.
I just can't wait for life to get back to normal, man.
I mean, it's going to be a while yet.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
It is. It's going to be long, but I don't know. I can't be the only one that feels this way. It's just, ugh.
What were you doing in your life before this is happening? What did you have
Stop
to
it, Tom.
battle?
To be fair, though, it's like, it's the few that are ruining it for the majority.
It's the simple stuff that I miss, though. Just like seeing mates.
I mean, you can still do that as long as you're not in a group of 6 or more, because then you're completely safe.
I don't want to get into politics or anything, but that annoys me.
That's contradictory. That's contradictory. I don't think we should touch that. It's contradictory.
Yeah, we'll leave that.
I get the train and tube to work. I've got more than 6 people around me. Come on. But I can't see 6 people I know.
It doesn't make sense.
I can be happy to delve into this, Sam, but I don't think you want to.
Let's leave that. Let's leave that. That's a bit too political, I think. So, I know you slightly touched on this, Ryan, but who do we think is going to come out of this as king?
King of console?
Yeah, like PS5 or Xbox. Not in terms of performance or anything like that, just in terms of how smooth the launch was, how many units sold, and general reaction on release.
It's an interesting question, though, as well, because Ryan's an Xbox main, isn't he? So I'm intrigued by the answer.
I think Xbox will have the smoothest launch just because of all these pre-orders that have gone to ships. But I think, Xbox will have the smoothest launch. PlayStation, however, probably not because of obviously what Walmart and them have done with pre-orders. But in terms of who's going to sell the most, it's going to be PlayStation.
Do you reckon?
Put it this way: if you've been shopping at a shop, let's say you got 2 shops, yeah. You've been going to this one for a while. This one makes up a massive fuck up. So you go over here. This one hasn't fucked up since you've been over there. You're gonna stay there. This is Xbox is this shop. They've done 2 major events, 2 next-gen events, and they've messed up and lost a lot of fans. I don't know what's convincing. Like PlayStation have got the exclusives there. That is the only convincing point. Because the specs they've never really been a massive difference in terms of the 2, but exclusives for PlayStation are so hot on compared to what Xbox has at the moment. Unless you are currently playing Xbox and you're on with mates and whatnot, there is no reason for why someone from PlayStation should come to Xbox.
And vice versa. Vice versa as well, probably.
No, you guys have fucking PlayStation, Sony release multiple AAA games exclusively to the PlayStation each year. I mean, they ended this one on probably Ghost of Tsushima, probably.
And then before that, there was Last of Us 2.
Yeah, but all Xbox is doing is recycling Halo, and it pisses me off. That's all they have at every Xbox showcase. Halo. No, come up with something different. You know, get people from Sony to think twice and go, oh, you know, Xbox has got this, but what have we got? Gears of War. You know, we've got the same stuff that we had 10 years ago.
We touched on this last week. The only exclusives that Xbox has really is Halo, Forza,
the ones from back in
Gears.
the day, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like the same exclusives you've had since the original Xbox, basically.
We've got, I think the most recent one that I played was Sea of Thieves. Fucking Sea of Thieves.
And they're on PC as well, though.
Yeah, almost all Xbox games are on PC.
Yeah.
So,
I mean like Steam, not through Game Pass.
If I could just ask Ryan a question. You said that PlayStation are going to be king of console, right? So, from what you said there, you sound like yourself are frustrated with what Xbox are doing.
Yeah, I want to Xbox about
Does that mean that you'll be getting a PlayStation? Will you be jumping to PlayStation? Or?
PlayStation will be on the priority list after the Xbox. I'll get the Xbox because everyone's on Xbox for me. So I'll get the Xbox for that.
I was going to say, based on Sam's question on who's going to be king of console, I think it depends what people are looking for. I think for multiplayer party play, there's Xbox, but for a very, very deep, very good story-driven, exclusive PlayStation, I don't even know if I have an answer. I want to say the PlayStation are going to be king of console, but I think this one could be close.
I'm looking forward to the new Fable game, but once again, this game is, you know, it's a 10-year-old game over 10 years. Like, that was their biggest announcement at that showcase. I think Fable was the last one. Other than that, I couldn't fucking tell you what all the games were shown because they were just utter bollocks. I was so pissed off.
I was in the chat with you watching the showcase, and I was pissing myself laughing because it was so trash.
Yeah, and then obviously Sony's just fucking done their showcase the other day, and they're showing what? God of War Ragnarok.
I can't wait for that game.
I've not even played number one, and I want to play number one. They showcased Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. And then you obviously got your Final Fantasy, which is going to be big for Final Fantasy fans.
By the way,
they've just got the exclusives. They've got a reason for you to go over. What's Xbox's reason to convince someone to come over to them?
By the way,
for a small difference in specs, it doesn't make sense.
On about Spider-Man, you know, the new Spider-Man, I read there is going to be a Spider-Man bundle. If you pay a little bit more, you get the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
I mean, it does make sense, yeah. I mean, what are your views on this, James? I'll let you go before me.
I think that Sony will win it. I think they're both going to struggle. I think, especially because of lockdown, everyone's got back into gaming. Everyone wants the new consoles because they're now enjoying gaming again, so that the sales are going to be a lot more than what they probably expected originally when they started making them. I think they're both going to do really well, but I do think Sony's going to outsell Xbox.
Do you think it'll be close?
I don't think it'll be close, but I think Xbox are going to do extremely well, just not as well as Sony.
Yeah,
because it's like with Ryan. A lot of people are still on the Xbox, as much as they're frustrated by it. Everyone they know is on the Xbox.
Yeah, so they're still devoted.
Unless they all move over to Sony, they can't move over because they need those people to play with.
Yeah, I think if all my friends move over to PlayStation, I think that would be the moving point for me.
That is the big point, though, isn't it? In order for Xbox players to move over to PlayStation, they need all their friends to move over. That is what's keeping them there.
That's what it is, though. It's just consistent players. Though there's nothing there to bring in new players. Like PlayStation's doing, you know, they did the Spider-Man game line come out. They've got all these AAA exclusives that have obviously attracted myself and other Xbox fans who want to play it. And you know, I've downloaded it on the PlayStation. But Xbox has got, I don't know, nothing that's making PlayStation fans go, bloody hell, I wish I had an Xbox so I can play that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with the general consensus that PlayStation is probably going to win this, but I don't actually think it's going to be close for a few reasons.
Do you think it's going to be a landslide?
not necessarily a landslide like the PS4 was, but I do think it's still going to be a pretty big difference in terms of sales. And the reason for that is actually related to the PS4 and the Xbox One. Microsoft lost a lot of people back then. Now, when Microsoft lost those people, they would have made new friends on PlayStation over the years. Their friends could have come over to PlayStation over the years. A lot of people are on PlayStation apart from, well, I mean, not just the Xbox diehards anymore. Because, I mean, obviously more people would have bought an Xbox since back then. But again, they're repeating the same mistake they did last gen. Microsoft has nothing, like Ryan just said, there's no exclusives, there's nothing worthwhile for people to jump in with. Whereas, I mean, Sony do have a lot of good exclusives.
Also, think of this as a player who's new to both consoles of PlayStation and Xbox. What's going to be more appealing to a new player?
It's going to be Sony. It's a much better lineup of game showcases.
If someone said to that kid who's interested in the console, you're interested in Spider-Man, you can't get it on Xbox, he'll go straight to Sony. What are the chances that he's going to say, oh, Halo, because Halo's been around for 10 years and that, but the biggest thing, all I'll say is, the biggest thing that Xbox has on Sony on this next gen is just backwards compatibility. And I don't think that'll be enough to convince people to come across.
I think everyone needs to not forget as well, when Christmas comes up, kids are going to say, I want that next gen console. The parents are going to go into the store and they're going to say, what's the next gen console, blah, blah, blah. They're going to see the Xbox S. That one's cheap. I can afford that one. He can have this. They're going to get a lot of sales from that.
That'll probably only happen on the younger kids, though. Like, I imagine sort of 10 plus, the kids would turn around and say, I want Xbox X or I want PS5.
Yeah, and then the parents going to go to the shop and they're going to say, 400 and what? No, fuck that.
To be fair, though,
in which case they probably wouldn't buy the S in that case.
To be fair, though, I'm not a father, but if I was, my son's getting the S, not the X. The X is for me.
It's gonna happen. It always happens when there's the cheapest console.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. I'm not denying
but
that.
that is gonna happen for sales. And obviously the shops are gonna try and push that because they know they can get that sale. If they're coming in for a console, the next gen console, they know that they can guarantee a £250.
I don't think
450
it's gonna sell as well as you think.
I'm not saying it's going to sell really well. I'm just saying that they're going to get a lot of extra sales from that.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, extra sales, yes. Extra sales.
That market is definitely there for the digital, for the younger kids.
It could be a pushing point to push up the sales, because that's when the true figures come in after Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah,
so that's when everyone's gone out and spend money. So,
but I mean, even then, you've also got the New Year's sales,
Black Friday as well.
Yeah, normally at the end of the year is probably when you start.
When do we get Black Friday?
November.
Is it November? Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the consoles won't go on Black Friday sales.
Well,
Best case scenario, probably like 10, 15 quid off.
Exactly. It's not going to be a lot.
No, like you're not going to save a lot. Like, you've got to remember, like, Black Friday in the UK is nothing compared to America.
Yeah.
It's like America has massive discounts on Black Friday. Like, that's why they're all fighting in Walmart over the TVs and shit.
Do you think Black Friday would actually go through with it, though, if everything remains the same now? Like, in terms of social distancing and then...
I was going to say, Black Friday.
Cyber Monday.
I mean...
Cyber Monday style, not Black Friday.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
Well, although they do like online versions, though, don't they? Where you don't go to the store. They do like the Cyber Monday, but there's Black Tag as well, I think.
Yeah, but that's in stores as well. It's just Black Tag just means it's discounted.
No.
Okay.
But we should probably start looking at wrapping up now. Do you guys have anything you want to close on?
No, it's been a good chat. I've enjoyed it.
James, Al, anything you want to add?
James, let you go.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I would love to see some of you guys' comments down below, just to see exactly what your thoughts are about what we spoke about today. I'm actually going to be lingering around. Maybe I'll answer some of them as well. But yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week.
Al, anything from you?
Pretty much the same. Thank you all for watching. I'm interested in seeing what people are going to be getting and what they think about the King of the Console is going to be. And till next time.
Okay, and Ryan, thank you very much for joining us today. If anybody watching right now wants to check Ryan out, both his YouTube and Twitch are linked down below in the description. Ryan, do you want to just give him a quick shout out?
Give myself a big shout out.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
What's he gonna do? I'm RBHD.
Yeah,
Well, you've just done it for him.
His name in the link in the description, RBHD, and I've got my Twitch as well. I'm sure Sam's put that down there as well. I stream, I upload weekly on YouTube, and it's just a bit of random games, I guess, horror games, fun games, no set genre, but yeah, go check it out if you want to.
Right, and with that, everybody, I do just want to thank you all for tuning in to episode number 4 of Simply Complicated, where, as you've just seen, we do make things a lot more complicated than they need to be. With that said, though, everybody, thank you for watching, and hopefully you will all tune in next week, same time, same day, 8 PM Sunday. So we will see you all later. Bye!